Buenas and half a day, everyone. Today's oversight hearing by the Committee on Public Safety, Emergency Management, and your Guam National Guard regarding the Office of Homeland Security, Office of Civil Defense, and the Guam Recovery Office is hereby called to order. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026, and the time is now 8:30 a.m. Chamorro Standard Time. For the record, and in accordance with the Open Government Law, notices for today's oversight hearing were sent on January 26, 2026, and again on January 30, 2026. Notices for this hearing were also published on the Guam Legislature website and the Guam Public Notices Portal website. Joining us here this morning are members of the Committee on Public Safety, Emergency Management, and your Guam National Guard, and our fellow senators, but I will begin with the Vice Chair of the Committee and Vice Speaker of the Guam Legislature, Tony Atta. Good morning, Vice Speaker, for being with us this morning, and I appreciate your attendance this morning. Before we proceed with the discussion, I'd first like to provide some general rules of conduct for this morning's oversight, which shall be as follows. Written comments or presentations shall be submitted to the committee. Please provide my legislative staff with your written comments for photocopying. Comments may be read, and lengthy presentations should be summarized to about 5 minutes. Those offering comments should be allowed, or will be allowed, to present written or oral testimony in the 5-minute time frame allotted, and I would ask to please respect the committee's request on this particular matter. Once you are done, please remain in the room for questions or additional comments as may be desired by members of the Committee on Public Safety, Emergency Management, and the Guam National Guard and other members of the Guam Legislature. Questions and comments shall be confined to the nature of the agenda, and the agenda for this morning and for this morning's oversight hearing concerns the Office of Homeland Security, Office of Civil Defense, and the Guam Recovery Office. The committee will receive information from these entities regarding their preparation for performance-based budgeting, the status of the Corrective Action Plan in response to the 2024 Office of Public Accountability findings and recommendations, Emergency Operations Center facility concerns, including but not limited to mold remediation, EOC generator, and EOC elevator, the comprehensive emergency response plan update and plan exercise schedule, and decertification of the Guam Fusion Center. For the record, the committee requested the attendance and participation of Ms. Esther Agagi, and thank you again, General, for being with us this morning, the Guam Governor's Homeland Security Advisor, again, who's also serving as the acting administrator for the Office of Civil Defense. And again, I'd like to also want to welcome to our meeting today another member of the committee and the Speaker of the Guam Legislature, Speaker Frank Bloss Jr. Thank you again, Speaker Bloss, for being with us this morning. Again, thank you, Esther, for being with us. And before speaking, the Homeland Security Advisor, Agagi, and anyone else that she calls upon to participate in the hearing shall first be recognized by the chair and then shall state their name for record purposes. The order of questioning will begin with the panel of senators who shall each have 5 minutes to ask their questions. The time allotted to each senator does not include the responses that are provided by those testifying. Personal inferences about the character or motive of any senator or any individual commenting is not permitted. Any violations of this general rule of conduct will result in removal from the public hearing room for this morning's oversight hearing. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form decorum may be restricted from providing oral testimony or may be asked to leave or be escorted and removed from the room. Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room today. At this time, the committee requests the Sergeant at Arms to swear in the Homeland Security Advisor and Acting Administrator of the Office of Civil Defense, Ms. Esther Agagi, and any other members of the panel that will be providing any support in testimony to our Homeland Security Advisor before she provides her general comments and answers questions from senators on the items that are outlined in today's oversight hearing agenda. Sergeant at Arms, please take it away.
Please stand and raise your right hand.
There you go.
Ready? Under penalty of perjury, do you affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Chair, under oath, you may proceed.
Thank you so much. This oversight hearing regarding the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense will help policymakers confirm the specific steps these organizations have taken to address a number of issues that were raised through their first oversight hearing held in January 2025. The committee's May 2025 mission check of the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, and discussions surrounding deteriorating conditions at the EOC, which led to its temporary closure in November just a few months ago. In cooperation with other agencies such as our Guam Police Department, the Guam Fire Department, and Office of the Attorney General, the Office of Homeland Security, and the Office of Civil Defense, and their supporting sections, the Guam Recovery Office and the Mariana Regional Fusion Center, make up Guam's emergency management apparatus. Colleagues, through this oversight hearing, we will hear from OHS and OCD regarding their preparation for performance-based budgeting, which our Finance Committee, through Chairman Chris Duenas, has initiated in preparation for fiscal year 2027. Also, we will receive an update from OHS and OCD on the Correction Action Plan, which was developed in response to the 2024 Office of Public Accountability findings and recommendations. The 2024 OPA reports concluded, among other things, that Homeland Security and Civil Defense had used general fund monies without direct local appropriations and was non-compliant with applicable federal and local laws, personnel rules, and standard operating procedures relative to overtime costs incurred from fiscal years 2018 to 2023. Today's oversight hearing is intended to confirm ongoing compliance with applicable federal and local statutes and regulations and help facilitate further improvements aimed at protecting vital federal resources which are critical to our emergency management apparatus. The committee will address concerns about the Emergency Operations Center in Agana Heights, including mold remediation, EOC generator, and the EOC elevator. Ensuring that our Emergency Operations Center is prepared 24/7 is critical to the safety and health of our citizens, and any disruptions to its operations jeopardizes our ability as a government to protect our citizens during emergencies. Uncomfortable room temperatures, inoperable elevator and air conditioning systems, and unusable restroom facilities directly impact both employee health and safety and the critical assets that they rely on to identify and mitigate known and emerging threats. The committee will receive an update from Homeland Security and Civil Defense regarding the Guam Comprehensive Emergency Response Plan, including any publicly disclosable schedule of exercises which are planned in the weeks and the months ahead, consistent with Public Law 38-20 from June 2025, which codified the plan. Homeland Security and Civil Defense are required to review and apply its provisions with relevant entities through mock drills, tabletop exercises, and other opportunities where our emergency management apparatus is put to the test. And finally, the committee will receive information concerning the certification status of the Marianas Regional Fusion Center. The information that is provided today from Homeland Security and Civil Defense must help our government ensure that federal grants for Homeland Security services and law enforcement activities are properly administered through regular program and financial reporting review compliance. With that said, this oversight hearing on the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense will move forward based on a desire by the Committee on Public Safety, Emergency Management, and Guam National Guard to continue preparing these entities for potential changes in federal emergency management policy. Oversight hearings conducted by this branch are designed to monitor and support with public policy the agencies under our respective committee oversight. This particular activity, the oversight hearing, is the most fundamental means of involvement in executive affairs available to the legislative branch of the government of Guam. Make no mistake, the committee is acutely aware of the ongoing litigation involving personnel from these entities and the governor's recent actions permanently transferring 2 classified employees to another department. This oversight hearing will not focus on why those employees were transferred. Proposals have been put forward in this term attempting to strengthen our emergency management apparatus by making way for a structure and culture that will be helpful for our modern day emergency activities. While these proposals are held in abeyance as more discussions among policymakers occur, the committee recognizes that leadership must be courageous enough to make important changes that we all know we need, but we find comfort in maintaining the status quo. I particularly disagree with the approach, but I believe that our federal counterparts, the folks that help us through funding and technical support, see the cracks in the wall. Time, energy, and precious resources have been focused unnecessarily on Band-Aid fixes to an operation that requires systemic changes now and into the foreseeable future. For these reasons, the committee appreciates in advance the attendance and participation of Ms. Esther Agigi. Esther, thank you for being with us this morning, and I do look forward to hearing more from you and hope you'll allow to hear questions from our colleagues up here as we appreciate again your commitment to working with us to assist Guam's emergency management apparatus through sound policy and the effective and efficient administration of personnel, equipment, and resources prioritized for the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense. And thank you very much again for all being with us. I want to recognize the Finance Chair of the Guam Legislature for being with us, Senator Chris Duenas. Thank you again, Senator Duenas, for being with us this morning. And I will now turn it over to Esther, to our Homeland Security Advisor. Thank you again, General, for being with us, and I'll take this time and give it to you.
Thank you, Senator Gumataotao. Have a day, Chairman Gumataotao, and distinguished committee members. I am Esther Agigi, Homeland Security Advisor and the Acting Administrator of the Office of Civil Defense. I am honored to appear before you today to provide transparent testimony on our operations, challenges, and progress as outlined in the agenda provided in your notice of the above subject. I was appointed as the Homeland Security Advisor in June of 2023. Governor Leon Guerrero first detailed me to serve as the Acting Administrator of the Office of Civil Defense on May 19th, 2025. That detailed assignment was rescinded on September 12th, 2025, and the governor appointed me to a second detail as the Acting Administrator on October 24th, 2025, which continues to the present. In total, I have served 8 months in the acting capacity while maintaining my primary role as the Homeland Security Advisor throughout the entire 9-month elapsed period, ensuring continuity during both transitions. And I humbly accepted both details to serve our community during transitional periods. Our team's approach has been grounded in values that define public service. We demonstrate commitment to the mission and the people of Guam in every action we take. We embrace responsibility to protect our community as our highest calling. We treat all stakeholders with dignity, recognizing that respect is the foundation of effective partnerships. We place service before self, putting mission and team needs above personal comfort. We pursue excellence in our actions, holding ourselves to the highest standards. We practice honesty in word and deed, especially when transparency is difficult. And we exercise moral courage to address difficult challenges directly and openly. I am grateful to Governor Leon Guerrero and Lieutenant Governor Tenorio for their trust through both detail assignments. John Jr. Calvo, our Chief of Staff, has provided invaluable guidance and advocacy, and our federal partners at FEMA Region 9 have shown patience and provided critical technical assistance throughout challenging circumstances. Most importantly, I acknowledge the dedicated men and women of OHS OCD who serve with distinction despite significant challenges. This testimony reflects their work, not mine alone. The full details of our operations are contained in my comprehensive written testimony submitted for the record. This oral summary highlights the most critical points for the committee's considerations. By God's grace and through the dedication of our team, we have made substantial progress during these 8 months of active service. While challenges remain and much work lies ahead, we are grateful for the meaningful improvements achieved. The Guam Offices of Homeland Security and Civil Defense proposes utilizing FEMA and DHS-approved work plans and investment justifications as the primary framework for performance-based budgeting should the 38th Guam Legislature mandate OHS's inclusion in Title V, Chapter 4, Section 4119 of the Guam Code Annotated. This approach aligns with both federal grant requirements and Guam's existing statutory framework for program budgeting and performance-based management, ensuring that all Homeland Security and emergency management investments are strategically guided, measured, and reported using federally validated instruments, and by adopting proven practices from FEMA Region 9 jurisdictions, including Hawaii, Arizona, California, Nevada, and the Pacific Territories. OHS OCD will establish specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives, quarterly performance reporting, and data-driven resource allocation that enhance accountability and transparency. This methodology integrates strategic planning with budgeting through regular monitoring, public reporting, stakeholder engagement, and corrective action processes, while maintaining compliance with federal oversight requirements and providing the Guam legislature and executive leadership with measurable outcomes that demonstrate the effective use of public resources in addressing the territory's highest priority, preparedness, and capability gaps. Ms. Lucy Perez, who is the interim grants manager, is prepared to provide details on this process. FEMA Region 9 approved our comprehensive corrective action plan on January 21st, 2026. This plan addresses 12 audit findings with more than 50 individual corrective actions spanning every operational dimension of our organization. The approval demonstrates federal confidence in our commitment to improvement, confidence we are determined to honor. We developed this CAP during the 8-month period spanning both detail assignments, working through a federal shutdown and leadership transition. The CAP represents collaborative efforts across our entire organization and with our federal partners. And to implement these corrective actions, we established a quality management framework. Our grant monitoring committee now meets monthly, providing systematic oversight rather than ad hoc responses. We completed critical foundational work, including budget monitoring procedures, timesheet templates and standard operating procedures, and a comprehensive RACI matrix that defines accountability across all findings. We developed or are completing multiple standard operating procedures that document best practices for the first time in our organization's history. We established internal tracking systems for financial management that provide real-time visibility into grant spending and compliance. Another sign of federal trust in our dedication to progress is our successful acquisition of $10.8 million in fiscal year 25 federal grants, representing a 44% increase from the prior year's $7.5 million grants. We are deeply grateful to our federal partners for this continued investment in Guam's emergency management capabilities. These grants are such as the next generation warning system grant of $5.84446 will provide transformational public warning capability for our island. The Homeland Security Grant Program Award of $2.7 million represents a 175% increase from the prior year, supporting our prevention, protection, and response capabilities. The Nonprofit Security Grant Program funding of $1 million increased 40%, enabling us to better protect at-risk nonprofit organizations. And the Emergency Management Performance Grant of $884,000 sustains our core operations. The state and local cybersecurity grant of $263,983 addresses critical infrastructure protection needs. These grants were secured during the 8-month period while we simultaneously managed the staffing crisis, worked through federal shutdown, navigated a leadership transition, and addressed facility challenges. Each application required extensive coordination, budget development reflecting true community needs, and commitment to matching requirements and long-term sustainability. When we identified known contamination affecting the Mariana Region Fusion Center workspace, we took immediate action to protect our staff. We developed an interim solution by relocating the MRFC to the initial operating facility. We also coordinated with the Guam Police Department and the Guam Fire Department on the vacated space preparation, working through equipment removal and cleaning challenges. And as of January 29th, all equipment has been removed and former tenants are arranging professional cleaning services, while simultaneously we developed a long-term remediation plan with competitive quotes to address the root causes, not just the symptoms. In addition to this interim plan, we immediately cleaned all the vents in the facility to include replacing all the filters that are located within the facility. We also established a comprehensive physical security program recognizing our responsibility to protect both staff and sensitive information. We implemented entry control measures and office space restrictions, balancing security needs with a welcoming environment for legitimate visitors. We assigned a senior leadership team members with security oversight responsibility, establishing clear accountability and authority for security decisions. We have initiated weekly staff and information briefs, which we have sustained throughout the 8-month period. These briefs provide a regular forum for two-way dialogue, security awareness, situational updates, and addressing staff questions and concerns. This commitment demonstrates that our people are our priority, not an afterthought. We also developed an operational security culture built on awareness and vigilance rather than fear. These measures protect sensitive Homeland Security and law enforcement information. They ensure staff feel safe in their workplace while maintaining the operational security essential to our mission. We updated the Territory of Guam's Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, our foundational document guiding all emergency management activities. We completed the Guam Emergency Operations Plan in December of 2025, providing operational guidance for emergency response. The Guam Hazard Mitigation Plan received FEMA approval in June of 2024, unlocking access to mitigation funding, and we developed an integrated preparedness plan for fiscal year 25-26, ensuring a coordinated approach across all partners. We updated our multiple emergency support function and hazard-specific annexes, addressing all potential threats to our island. These include plans for tropical cyclones, tsunamis, and pandemics. We addressed modern threats through our cyber incident, ballistic missile attack, and terrorist WMD annexes. We updated our continuity of operations and aviation incident plan to reflect current capabilities and protocols. For fiscal year 26, we established a progressive exercise schedule. The first quarter focuses on defense support of civil authorities, testing military support to civil authorities. The second quarter port security exercise will test protocols at critical infrastructure. And the third quarter cyber drill addresses modern cybersecurity threats. The fourth quarter typhoon and complex full-scale exercise will comprehensively test all emergency support functions and response agencies, which is our major annual preparedness demonstration. Our Guam Recovery Office managed a 347% increase in projects under the Typhoon Mawar Declaration compared to our COVID-19 response. We secured 236 projects under DR 4715 Guam, each representing individuals, families, or communities recovering from disasters. We expanded our staff to meet this increased demand and serve applicants effectively. We enhanced our coordination with FEMA teams, improving both the speed and quality of our service delivery, and this growth demonstrates need, and our response demonstrates commitment to serving disaster survivors with urgency and care. We must be candid about significant constraints, namely a staffing crisis that has spanned 8 months of critical shortage, under which these accomplishments were achieved during the 8-month period. We lost 4 staff members instrumental in grants management and financial oversight during the 8-month period. Our organization was already operating with what we describe as a grave shortage of personnel before these losses occurred. Remaining staff absorb departed colleagues' workload for the full 8 months. This meant significant redistribution of responsibilities and sustained workload strain on those who remained, who were committed to the mission. Currently, vacant positions are severely constraining our capability. We need a federal grants administrator, program coordinators, and planners to manage our expanding grant portfolio. Our operations section is missing its civil defense coordinator. Both operations and logistics sections need civil defense officers. This impact is clear. Our staff has carried an extraordinary burden for 8 months. Immediate relief is needed. The federal shutdown from October to December of 2025 interrupted FEMA technical assistance during a critical CAP development period. Procedure finalization was delayed along with the feedback on draft documents we had prepared. Our team worked through this interruption and maximized available time when my first detail began in May of 2025. And with continued uncertainty with a possible second federal government shutdown, also affects our preparation for upcoming FEMA enhanced financial monitoring scheduled for 20 to 24 April of this year. This review provides an opportunity to demonstrate our progress on corrective actions, and we are conducting contingency planning and front-loading critical activities to mitigate potential disruption. Intensive preparation is required in the coming weeks, and this milestone is critical to securing continued federal confidence and funding. And we come before you after 8 months of sustained effort and improvements to request support for genuine mission needs, but not bureaucratic expansion. We need funding for our EOC repairs, critical position filling, operational support, and some of our long-term strategic investments include our EOC comprehensive modernization, sustaining funding model, and the funding for the Marianas Region Fusion Center. And the path forward in the immediate priorities in the next 60 days, we will sustain transformation momentum achieved over 8 months through continued faithful implementation of all systems and processes. We will initiate emergency procurement for EOC facility repairs to address immediate health and safety concerns. We will showcase our progress during the enhanced financial monitoring scheduled for April 20th to the 24th, and we will continue advocating for position filling with competitive salaries that attract qualified candidates. And we will maintain CAP implementation across all 12 findings without letting progress slip. And we will execute our first quarter fiscal year 26 defense support of physical authorities exercise with federal and military partners. Our short-term goals in the next 6 months, we will complete our CAP implementation with extension approval if needed, demonstrating sustained commitment to federal compliance. We will achieve successful enhanced financial monitoring results that showcase 8 months of systemic improvement. We will fill a minimum of 5 critical vacant positions to provide immediate relief to our overburdened staff. We will execute EOC facility remediation, addressing the mode and infrastructure deficiencies. We will continue our training exercise and community outreach program without interruption, and we will maintain operational readiness for emergency response, regardless of other organizational challenges. And then our long-term vision for the next 12 to 24 months is we envision an adequately staffed organization, building on the capabilities we have demonstrated. We see a modernized facility that supports mission requirements rather than constrains them. We seek a sustainable funding model, combine federal grants with general fund baseline support. We want the continuous improvement culture established during 8 months to become our permanent organizational standard, and we aim for enhanced whole community preparedness and resilience that makes Guam a regional model. And we hope to foster regional cooperation and shared learning with other Pacific jurisdictions facing similar challenges. And Senator, if I may, at this point, I have a timeline, and I apologize I haven't provided that. I don't have a copy of that timeline provided, but if I may just read some of the progress we have made concerning our facility.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, Typhoon Mawar happened in May of 2023, and it wasn't until 2 years later, in August of 25, that we requested for some funding to address all the facility woes that we have encountered. This includes the sewer situation, the air conditioning, the generator, the non-operational generator, and of course the mold mitigation. So just to give you an idea of the timeline, in August we assessed and discovered water contamination with our faulty ECM module. We had the water removed from the generator and fuel tanks in September. And then this was a 6-day project and was completed within that 6-day period. In October, we had an ENC module installed with the generator activated temporarily to address our air conditioning needs. In November, we had the UST coverage limited to prevent water penetration and sensors repaired for our 2,500 capacity generator that powers the entire facility. That generator also has a 75-gallon capacity for daytime functioning, and we conduct periodic tests to see if the generator actually works with the automatic transfer switch. In November, we had the generator synchronized with an automatic transfer switch that allowed the switching of island power to generator power. And then on January 27th, we had an EPA permit issued for the use of that generator, full usage. For the mold mitigation, in August, we had AC air handlers cleaned and we had the air filters changed. And then we had a 5-ton unit installed to further prevent mold growth. And then what's ongoing, sir, is the relocation of the MRFC operations and its staff to the IOF, which is the former E911 call center and dispatch for the fire department. In September, our 30-ton chiller temperature sensors failed, and then we had a temporary repair by Carrier. And then in January, we had a 10-ton unit installed with the copper leak discovered, with 2 weeks later, has not been operational, but are seeking assistance with other interagency partners to help us defer the cost of what it will take to get the generator operational. Our elevator was inspected in August of 21, and infractions were identified. And in August of that same year, we had Otis contacted for an assessment. In November, the motherboard upgrade was installed, and that same month in November, DPW issued us a temporary permit, and now our elevator is operational. For our water systems, we had a new freshwater pump installed in June of 2025. In January, the equipment arrived to replace the antiquated parts, and in that same month, DPW we asked the assistance from DPW, and they installed the new parts, and now our sewer system is working and mission capable. Sewer system pump was a perpetual problem, and in May, we had the pump installed, and in November, we had exhaust fans replaced with the pump room in the bathrooms, and in that same month, we had extensive cleaning of pump room completed, and now I'm happy to report that all systems are now operational. That's just that's an overview of the progress that we've made with facility improvements, sir, and I can provide this timeline as I have with my testimony. In conclusion, 8 months ago, OCS-OCD faced significant challenges, and today we report meaningful progress. We secured FEMA CAP approval, addressing 12 findings systematically. We obtained $10.8 million in federal grants, representing a 44% increase from the prior year. We updated emergency plans across all hazards, ensuring current guidance for all partners. We established a comprehensive physical security program protecting people and sensitive information. We addressed staff health concerns with interim solutions while developing long-term remediation plans, and we implemented quality management systems providing ongoing oversight and accountability. We continue facing crisis-level staffing with more than 10 vacancies and the loss of 4 key staff members, and we need facility infrastructure investments ranging from $63,000 to $165,000 or more for immediate needs alone. We navigate federal shutdown impacts and continued funding uncertainties, and our dedicated remaining staff endure sustained workload strain that demands immediate relief. And even with severe constraints, committed people focused on mission can make progress. This transformation reflects dedicated staff choosing service despite difficulty. It demonstrates federal partners maintaining confidence throughout our challenges. It shows executive leadership providing trust and guidance through transitions, and it proves that systems and processes are stronger than individual assignments. We commit to continued transparency about both progress and challenges. We will provide evidence-based request support by 8 months of experience, not wishful thinking. We seek a partnership approach in protecting our community, and we accept full accountability for performance and outcomes. We commit to faithful CAP implementation developed over 8 months of collaborative effort. We will maintain honest communication with our capabilities and our limitations. We pledge responsible stewardship of federal investment entrusted to us, and we will prepare thoroughly for the enhanced financial monitoring, showcasing our progress. We commit to relentless advocacy for resources to relieve 8 months of sustained strain. We will continue prioritizing the health, safety, and professional development of our staff. We will lead with integrity and provide unwavering support, and we will commit to securing the positions and resources we need and the staff and the people of Guam deserve. We commit to continuing emergency management operations with excellence, regardless of internal challenges, and we will protect the sensitive information you have entrusted to us. We will continue preparing our island for all hazards. We maintain readiness to respond whenever a disaster occurs, and we pledge service above self in everything we do. After demonstrating that we can accomplish in 8 months with severe constraints, we humbly request support to fulfill the mission of protecting the people of Guam. We seek resources adequate to the responsibility we bear. We ask for partnership in addressing challenges honestly identified. We request support for staff serving with extraordinary dedication for 8 months. We need investment in capabilities that protect our community, and we ask for recognition that 8 months of sustained improvement deserves continued support and not abandonment. We are honored to serve the people of Guam in this important mission through whatever assignment the governor determines best. We are grateful for 8 months of opportunity to work with this committee, the legislature, our federal partners, and our community. We are committed to earning continued confidence through performance demonstrated over time. And the complete details of our operations, all 12 corrective action findings, comprehensive facility assessment, staffing analysis, and supporting documents are contained in my full written testimony submitted for the record. Situas Maasi, thank you for this opportunity to provide testimony after 8 months of service, and thank you for your service to our community, and thank you for considering the needs we have identified. I am now available to answer any questions the committee may have. May God continue to protect our island, guide our work, and bless our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. And before we begin with the questions and go on our agenda, I do want to personally thank you for all of your engagement over that last 8 months. You and I have been in close communication, and I do publicly want to acknowledge that and appreciate your candor, especially through some of these things that you've explained today. But again, I just want to publicly say thank you again for your engagement. So thank you again.
Senator, the privilege is mine.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and begin with the, first before I do that, let me recognize joining us this morning is Senator Vince Borja. Vince, thank you for being with us, Senator, and thank you for being with this oversight hearing. Let me begin with the preparation for performance-based budgeting, Esther, and let me just start with this, and then I have only a few questions, then I'll turn it over to the panel. But to what extent has BBMR engaged the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense regarding the performance-based budgeting framework, a system designed to tie government spending directly to measurable results? And what performance metrics, if any, I think you might have mentioned a few, have you considered in addition to the data that might be generated based on the multi-agency exercises, community outreach, and continual training activities of both Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense? So BBMR.
Can I clarify the question, sir?
Sure.
Are you asking to what degree have we implemented, or are you asking
how your engagement with BBMR on performance-based budgeting?
Sir, we have regular engagements with BBMR, almost on a daily basis. We use them as our guiding light, as our lanes to tell us what can and can't be done and what restrictions are in place just regarding grants, management, investment justifications. So BBMR, we work very closely with BBMR and the Department of Administration when it comes to grants management and performance-based budgeting.
Okay, so, but have you engaged much on the idea or the notion of performance-based budgeting specifically?
Yes, sir, we have. We have communicated with them that each time we submit timesheets for payroll, there's a form called a 120 that's attached to timesheets, and each employee must select from a pull-down menu what they have been doing for the last pay period in order to justify the spending that is allocated to pay for their salary. And we communicate with BBMR on that. If not on a daily basis, then every pay period.
Got you on that. Recognizing that the FY 2026 Budget Act does not provide a direct appropriation to the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense, what portion of your annual budget, including reimbursable obligations, is supported by non-federal funds? And if local funds are involved, under what appropriation authority are these resources used to support either or both entities?
Sir, I can't give you a definite percentage, but I can tell you a significant percentage, we rely on the general fund. As you know, grants happen where we pay up front and then we request for reimbursements. But for right now, because we are not budgeted as a standalone agency and we rely on the governor's office to provide us with budgeting, it requires a lot of negotiating, it requires a lot of talking, it requires piecemeal and conferring with our partners. I'm not too sure if Mr. Joe Cabana can speak specifically on the allocation of resources for our agency's budget.
Okay, but I'll go ahead and I just need clarification. Again, under what appropriation authority are the resources that you're mentioning are being used to support either or both entities?
The general fund, sir.
It would be the general fund under the governor's authority. So we coordinate with the Office of the Governor, the Chief of Staff, and work with BBMR in determining what the needs are. And then through their process, through the governor's authority, that's how an account will be established and utilized for specific operations, such as the repairs or remediation that has been happening since August of last year.
Okay.
At every instance.
Okay, understood. I'll probably leave more to the finance chair, because I'm sure when he heard that, I don't think we've heard that before. For the record, what was Guam's matching requirement, if any, for the $7.5 million that Homeland Security and Civil Defense received from the federal government in fiscal year 2024 across DHS, FEMA, and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration grant funding? And what is your latest cost share agreement or arrangement for federal grants in fiscal year 2026?
With zero matching.
100% GRO's 100%.
Senator, we have 0% matching, but Mr. Cabana probably has a better explanation or a more detailed explanation of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Senator,
Good morning.
and Speaker, Vice Speaker, other senators. Yes, there's different sections of the Homeland Security under my section of the Guam Recovery Office. We're covered 100% based on our public assistance. We're covered 100% federal fund. And what we do is we submit a budget to the front office, be able to look at our budget, and those expenditures are coming out from FEMA. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. I'm going to go ahead and open the questions from the panel, and I'll begin with the Speaker of the Guam Legislature, Speaker Frank Blas. You have 5 minutes. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. I just want to touch a little bit more on your funding sources. Where are you getting your money right now?
Good morning, Speaker. Sir, we get our money from the general fund, at least Homeland Security and Office of Civil Defense.
Okay, and my understanding, so you get your money through Homeland, through the general fund, and it's to be reimbursed. It's another, right?
Yes.
When's the last time you drew down on your account, on your grants?
Sir, we drew down a total of $285,000 in December, I believe. And that was from one of the grants from previous years. I believe that was a 2019 grant. We're still working on past grants and past closeout periods, so that was the latest drawdown we have had from FEMA.
You mentioned in your testimony that you had recently 10.8 or over $10 million in grants awarded. Have you started to work on drawing down that money?
So the process for those grants, Mr. Speaker, is we are working with our grantors. They have given us an award letter. When we complete checklists, so for example, the Next Gen Warner System grant, we submitted our checklist of EHP. When they approve that, then they will function in terms of giving us the next steps. Now, OHS OCD is in what is called a manual hold process. So you get a grant award letter, you establish your accounts with BBMR based on the objectives, and then before projects start, we work with the grantor to make sure, for example, if we were going to purchase sirens, mobile sirens, the grantor approves it, we go out for a bid, we get the equipment, we get the certified invoice, and then we send it for reimbursement. When the grantor sends a letter, official letter of notification that the reimbursement is allowable expense, then we coordinate with Department of Administration Federal Programs Office to set up a day and time when they can go into the system, like a PAR system, and draw down that specific amount. So Gov Guam pays for the equipment up front and then gets reimbursed on the back end. That's just for our agency. Other agencies have a different setup.
Okay, I think the rest of my questions actually with regard going down that path I'll talk about a little bit more in the corrective action plan, okay? But I'll do that there. However, I'm a little concerned here. In your testimony, you stated that you are working towards OHS will establish specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives, quality performance reporting, and data-driven resource allocation that enhance accountability and transparency. I'm assuming that this is in preparation for your performance-based budgeting exercise. Let me ask you something. Shouldn't you have been doing this already?
Yes to both answers, Speaker. We have been doing it as a response to the audits, but in that response to the audits, we're also preparing so that FEMA can see that we have actually demonstrated good faith efforts to work on those internal control measures that were not there before.
So you had the objective, you just didn't have the drive to do it.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing, right? Because I'm looking at this and this should have been the standard.
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, performance-based budgeting shouldn't be brand new to all of you. I was just a little that you will establish. When you say will establish, maybe you want to correct that and you want to reinstitute because it should have been established.
Yes, sir. Now it's officially in writing.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, it is. I'll save my other questions for when we get to the next one. Thank you, Mr.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll turn it over now to Senator Chris Duenas, the chairman of the Committee on Finance. Thank you, Senator Duenas, for being with us this morning.
Sidusmasi, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Esther and the team for being here. First of all, are you currently participating in the FY 2025 audit?
Yes, sir. The enhanced monitoring is a version of an audit, Senator, and we are preparing for that. It will happen on April 20th to the 24th. And FEMA will bring their grants managers here to the island, and they will review our records, and they will, look and see if we're compliant and see where any gaps are, and then provide recommendations for us.
What I'm speaking to particularly is the Office of Public Accountability.
Not that I'm aware, sir.
Okay, so this audit from fiscal year 2024 was a performance audit? Yes, the findings from the 2024 audit. Yeah,
That is correct. That is
Yeah,
correct.
maybe Lucy, go ahead and speak to that. Was that a one-off, or you normally are audited by the OPA?
It's not a one-off from my understanding. FEMA does their recurring monitoring, whether it's a desk monitoring or whether it's a financial monitoring. And the OPA also, based on what schedule he puts out, will also determine a schedule of whether he needs to come in and do a follow-up. And I think that's what happened with the 24. It was before me. I came in later on.
My reason is, Ms. Esther, you enumerated in your presentation that you've taken a number of measures and you've taken a number of actions to remedy the very damning, let's be honest with ourselves, 2024 audit findings. If that audit were produced today, what do you think it would look like?
Sir, I pray it will look differently. I pray it will look a lot more positive. In particular, I think the internal control measures are probably priority. Record keeping was probably a cause for some of the internal control measures not being watched, not being taken seriously. I'm hopeful that when FEMA comes on board on April 20th to the 24th, I'm hopeful that we will see, not all, I anticipate there will still be some deficiencies, but I am hopeful that we will see some of the deficiencies corrected, and maybe we can do some on-the-spot corrections. I anticipate seeing a more promising report than we did in 2024.
So I'm not surprised at the subsidy to Office of Homeland Security Civil Defense, because the governor's office is the one right now, along with one other entity, that is quite overdrawn on their budget in terms of overspending. Everyone else is pretty much intact. So my question to you directly is, and we've asked the fiscal team before, since you continue to rely heavily on the general fund, did you prepare a request in the fiscal year 2027 budget?
Sir, yes, sir, we have. We actually prepared it for 2 years in a row. We prepared one for last year, and then at the governor's direction, we prepared another one for this upcoming fiscal year. And we have specifics for you. Ms. Lucy can speak specifically to that. She prepared the budget. We are seeking for operations and maintenance, and probably salaries, and maybe rely on the FEMA grants only for projects, which is what it was intended for.
So this basically now is, since the fiscal team before us, when we've asked these questions, in fact, was stating that they were unaware of so many things that were going on prior in terms of internally. So this is standard now, whereby there is a recognition of general fund appropriation for Office of Defense Homeland Security.
Yes, sir.
And the anticipation is to be reimbursed based on your qualification for programs.
That is correct.
Okay. So hopefully what we can look at is if you're in good standing, a revolving capability where the general fund's not subsidizing, it's only subsidizing for the purpose of getting the programs moving, but it's being reimbursed.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like DOE. My next question basically is, and in line with what the speaker was asking, I'm a little surprised, because I expect particularly Office of Defense, Homeland Security, and most of the public safety entities would have no problem doing performance-based budgeting, given the fact that you're 100% federal funding on your side, of course, local appropriation right now. But the fact is that that is essentially what you have to do in order to qualify and your measures. Can you speak to it?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. So you intend on being capable of submitting or at least qualifying your request based on performance-based budgeting?
Yes, sir. That's the only direction we're taking.
That's good news. And I guess the reason why is as I go through some of your presentation and I'm asking questions, but I want to divert here real quick because in your presentation, the Guam Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, emergency operations, and discussing that, while we are not in any declared storm or pre-preparation, preparation, or result of, inclement weather has plagued Moleso with flooding. Is that an emergency response on the table as currently it's been happening in the last several months?
Is there any time the livelihood of residents are affected? It definitely is an emergency response.
So have there been mitigation efforts that are discussed in your plan here for Moleso? Because it seems like it's been perennial for the last several months with the heavy rainfall.
Sir, if there's any one person who's more interested in that mitigation, it would be me, as I am a resident of Moleso, and that has plagued the residents of Moleso for decades. But yes, sir, we are working closely with BSP. I know they have, and BSP is actually working together with FEMA to try to come up with a mitigation plan to see if that can be redirected to avoid any further flooding. But there are also our state hazard mitigation grants that have addressed that. And so there are some provisions in that plan, in the 2024 plan, to address that specific, if you will, situation down in Moleso.
Ms. Esther, I'm concerned, and I'll have my own conversation. I'm sure my colleagues will with DPW, but the response every time is, it's normal, the bamboo fills up the drain, you know, we got a stage. I mean, to me, that's not gonna cut it anymore. I think absolutely that's in your wheelhouse, and I hope that we can get a better answer going forward, that there's a full-blown plan in coordination with Homeland Security and Civil Defense, because this is not going away until there's an absolute mitigation plan to stop that from happening. Other than that, there should be immediate staging anytime there's impending rainfall, and I think that should be coordinated through your office as well.
Sir, I'm with you. I totally agree with you. Some of the mitigation measures that we take is, we also monitor the weather, and we push out weather alerts when needed. And if I know ahead of time that there's going to be a lot of extra rain and and there's a flood advisory, I will personally reach out to the folks at DPW and give them fair warning, say, hey, this is coming up. You might want to lean forward and start staging equipment. That's just an interim Band-Aid solution. But like you said, sir, we're all aware that we have to address the elephant in the room, and that's definitely in the wheelhouse of Homeland Security. So we'll work very closely with State Hazard Mitigation, which is now under the auspices of the Guam Recovery Office. All Homeland Security, if all falls under the Homeland Security umbrella. But yes, sir, I appreciate that.
I appreciate it, because I mean, life and property, there's no question, is significantly in danger in these instances. The next thing is, Esther, I'm concerned because and I'm happy with the team, and if you were part of it, I want to thank you for carrying that load of what was discussed in terms of having to deal with preparing for the responses to the 24 audit. But you continue to talk about staff shortages. Why didn't you hire?
So, sir, I am working very closely with the Department of Administration right now for recruiting. Some of the positions require some specific skill sets, and there are times when we don't have personnel who may be interested in those specific skill sets. In the meantime, those people who have experience in that specific area of concern always step up to the plate and always offer to help in whatever way they can. But I am working closely with the Department of Administration to look at what the list that they have available to fill some of these critical vacancies. Grants management is definitely something that has been on my peripheral ever since I took the position in '23. Ms. Lucy has graciously volunteered to be the interim grants manager, and she's doing a great job of it. In the meantime, that's a full-time job that requires some specific skill sets. Managing over $1 million is a tumultuous task. What more $10.8 million? What more grants money that have occurred in the past? Skill sets that we don't readily have available right now. So I'm doing the best I can to work with the Department of Administration to see if we can hire to our vacancies.
Lucy, I don't want to put you on the spot, but have you explored interagency capabilities and transfer? I mean, this sounds critical to me.
So we have explored that, and we've just had the discussion with our chief of staff and the governor of even helping to see if we can share the resources or detail individuals from other agencies to be able to assist us. One of the other concerns that we have, especially when you handle grants currently, because personnel is not covered through a local funding, we have to go back to the grantor to get permission to hire individuals, right, based on their skills, knowledge, and abilities. So it's not as quickly as I'd like it. We established that last year, or most recently, to ensure that when they get presented with the reimbursement request for personnel, that it's approved. Because that is one of the things that we found that was outstanding is the government pays upfront, pays for the personnel, and then when it comes time to getting the reimbursement, we're not realizing the full reimbursement. And so moving forward, we coordinate that. And we've even had a discussion with the deputy of DOA and their personnel administrator, and we're gonna sit down with them and take a look at what other ways that we can get assistance temporary, whether it be for 90 days, 120 days, all within the rules and regulation. Even a couple hours a day is good. We've also, in our grants, for like Homeland Security, for example, we put in and we got approved to get a team, auditing team, who will help set up and ensure just to get everything in place so that moving forward, we're not running into these unallowable costs. So that is one of the other ways that we're also looking at. But the best way, I think, and this is just me personally, is if we can get the local funding to support the personnel and the operations of the building. This way, whenever there's any work to be done across different sectors, that it is acceptable. Because currently, if you're assigned to a certain grant, you're supposed to work on that grant only. So if you had knowledge in finance and admin, but you're assigned to nonprofit, then you would have to go back, or that person managing that grant will have to go back to the grantor and request for permission, get it in writing, that they're able to do this much amount of work during this period of time to help.
Yeah, Ms. Aggie and Lucy, I just think this is too critical. I mean,
Yeah.
you can underfill those positions as well. You know I understand how this works.
Yes.
And the truth is that when you detail, you can underfill, you can specific to that task, and you're not going to be penalized for that as long as that's the work that's being done.
Senator, if I may add, our investment in fact, it was our fiscal year 25 grant that was recently awarded to us with the Homeland Security Grant Program. That specific request to bring on board an auditing firm or a finance firm to manage grants was a direct response to the audit report.
Right. I know I'm out of time, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to close. While that's satisfactory going forward, we're here now. And that's where I see the issue. I continue to tell most of the government agencies that come before me, with all due respect, you don't have a funding problem, you have an execution problem. And so the issue is that's down in that loop. You got to sit in that office and not leave until you get what you need. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Senator Duenas, and just on that, it's something that we spoke about over 12 months ago. I mean, hearing that, okay, there's the discussion, but is something that, I mean, I can go down on and on about how much I was pushing for the Office of the Governor to bring resources to bear, as you're mentioning. I appreciate the Chief of Staff and Deputy Chief of Staff doing their job today, but we asked during the mission check, and there was an acknowledgement then that there was a major problem. So I just want to say that as well. Senator Borah, you're recognized. Thank you again for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
On performance-based budgeting, first off.
Yeah, I don't have any questions in regards to performance-based budgeting. I think the finance chair had some questions that I was able to address, especially around the audits, but I don't have any question in regards to that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so much. Vice Speaker Ada and the chair, Vice Chair of this committee, you have any questions on the preparation for performance-based budgeting?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Perhaps the only question I would have is of the grant fundings that were received, how much has been returned because of it being not expended or?
Nothing has been returned. The way OHS OCD works is you get a grant award letter. The accounts are established with BBMR. Invoices are paid by the general fund, and then receipts or invoices are submitted to FEMA or to the grant program for reimbursement. So we did not get the money. We have not received money. What we work on is a reimbursement structure. And our agency, because of the hold, has to go through these significant steps to ensure, which is why it's critical that before expenses are incurred, we go to our grantor and we make sure and we get it in writing. And BBMR is very, very detailed about this, and so is DOA, that expense will be covered. It's a reimbursement.
I see. Okay, so for example, or you get a $4 million grant for particular whatever.
For a particular project, yes.
Right. Do you expend that whole $4 million grant and get them reimbursed, or do you have enough projects to cover the grant that you requested for of that amount? Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's through investment justification and projects that the grants are covered. So yes.
Okay. So because what I don't want to see is us requesting for a certain amount of grant funding, and then in the end we only expend only half of it, get reimbursed for half, and then we lose the remaining. You know, out of $4 million, we lose $2 million. And are we over requesting for grant funding, not expending it, and then next time down the road, you know, we look for this grant funding and then we notice it's lower because we haven't expended it previously. They know that we're not doing what we can to completely expend the grant and looking for a full reimbursement on that particular grant.
This team does not like to leave money on the table. We work closely with our grantors to ensure, if anything, the FY25 grants, we've noticed that FEMA DHS has been really aggressive with all of their grant awards, where we have weekly meetings and sometimes what is called office call meetings, and they do follow up. They've improved their systems on their sides, and we're working with them, where we send each other notices. You know, it's like, hey, what's your status? An example of how we're not leaving money on the table is a nonprofit security grant. That's a 3-year program, and the individual managing that grant, our grantors like, slow down, because you know you have 3 years to complete your projects. But our mindset is we're here to do a job. We're here to help the nonprofit, and if we can get it out, get it done, get the reimbursements, then that's good. We can go on to apply for more grants, show the efficiency, and also ask to utilize that person to help us with other grants.
I see. Okay, thank you. Ma'am?
Senator, if I may, just to give you an example of the predicament that we're in and how grants put on hold can paralyze us. In 2023, we were approved a cybersecurity grant, and we had a 3-year period of performance to identify projects and to spend that money. We were just approved to receive that grant just last month, and we received not a single penny from this grant, yet we had 2 audits on it already. And so, my rationale with grants management is, we haven't spent a dime of this money. Why do you continue to monitor us? Why are you auditing our spending pattern when we haven't spent anything? But it was because of the sins of the past, if you will. And so all the grants are put on a hard hold until we can prove otherwise, that, we have earned back the trust of FEMA in our grants management. So that's just an example of how we've been paralyzed by not being able to move forward until we can prove and demonstrate that we are good stewards of federal dollars.
I see.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. And you also brought up another issue about recruitment. Is that an issue with Department of Administration's recruiting branch, or is it people are not applying? What is it?
No, sir, it isn't. There are certain requirements. Grants management, for instance, there's a 40-hour course that FEMA requires one to complete and pass in order for them to accept your title and your position as a grants manager. And in addition to that, there are some courses that you also have to take and qualify to manage grants. And so it just could be a number of reasons, people not wanting to invest the time or the energy to go through additional training to manage grants. It could be a number of reasons, but it is definitely not DOA.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's the only questions I have for this section.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Speaker. And let me just remind the 3 of you that you guys are under oath. And I'm just going to be very blunt. I do not want to be spun here in this oversight hearing. If you don't get reimbursed for noncompliance, then you don't get any portion, if not all of the grant funds you were awarded, meaning GovGuam spent money but wasn't paid back. That was brought up by the OPA. $8 million, at least, in expenditures, which weren't even reimbursed by the feds as of 2024. I'm just gonna be very blunt. Do not spin this committee today, because we all are aware. I'm not asking, I'm just be very, very forward with us. Do not spin us. We understand the situation that's facing you, and I take great offense. Let's move on to the OPA's audit. And I gotta say that to hear from you, Esther, today about the January 21, 2026 approval is actually a big deal. Can you please send the committee the copy of that letter that says, great job, Guam, you are now approved? Because we haven't heard progress, we haven't heard a darn thing for the last 12 months, and this is probably the most significant news to come from that particular oversight hearing about a year ago. So I'm curious, what were the amendments that were proposed by you and subsequently approved by FEMA to get the approval of this corrective action plan?
Thank you, Senator. It was just basically a response to the audit findings, sir, and starting from the basic internal control measures, documentation, record keeping, organization. Those were all just common sense things when audits happening, or when audits happen. Practices, measures that were probably not taken seriously, that could have turned results a different way. And some of these findings were also repeat findings from previous audits. I don't know if it was due to staff shortage. I don't know if it was due to probably lack of staff training. I just know it happened, and I do know that on my watch, I will make every effort to ensure that we don't go back to that, which is why I'm optimistic about the enhanced monitoring visit that is supposed to happen in a few weeks from now. And it wouldn't be like we were strangers, because we talk with our grants management division folks regularly. We have a battle rhythm going. It's every 2 weeks, a bi-weekly meeting. They always encourage, if we have any questions, pick up the phone. They're always available, no matter what time zone we're in. But yes, sir, those monies that have been spent, I doubt very much we will ever recover them. That's money that's been spent already. FEMA has been very gracious about offering some courses of action to us, saying, well, if you think you can find the documentation, submit it and we'll see where we lead to. Sir, that is labor intensive to try to find records from years past. I wouldn't even know what I would be looking for. So even though those grants have expired, we still need to do what is called an administrative closeout. And that's to officially close those grants out for that period of performance, so that there's records saying that it wasn't left in limbo, and that each, FEMA and Guam acknowledges that this grant was awarded. However, the money that was awarded to Guam will not be further dispersed.
Gracious is probably very kind. Probably tolerant is probably where FEMA region is probably at today, just from my engagement with them, especially over the last year. Sticking with the OPA audit, aside from the governor permanently transferring 2 employees to Public Works recently, what progressive disciplinary action have been taken by agency leadership to date, including but not limited to counseling, reassignment of duties and responsibilities, and training mandates as outlined in the audit?
Sir, I've established in-house policies where folks need to now request officially if they can attend training that is external to OCS, OCD. I've established a senior leadership team to help me hold others accountable for what they're supposed to be doing. The physical security measures that were implemented, probably not mentioned in the audit, but necessary because our namesake has security in it. And we have to be, we have to be leaders in that field. And the physical security measures that have been implemented at the facility have been a 180-degree turnaround from what it was before I assumed the acting administrator position.
Okay, with that said, just the last question on this from me on the OPA audit. What's the estimated loss, do you think, local dollars, that Homeland Security and Civil Defense believes we will not get reimbursed by the feds? What's your estimation of the total amount of loss?
Thank you. Currently, right now, they have gone back to prior years audit, the 19 and the 20. So we're looking at probably approximately maybe over a little bit about $1 million for those. The remaining 2021 and 22, they're still giving us an opportunity to go back and submit all those expenditures and request for reimbursement. However, we are also looking at those expenditures and also verifying and validating those expenditures and properly identify which grants there are expended for.
So Joe, you said 1 million, but in the audit, the public auditor said the delays denied, local government paid $8.4 million. That's a big delta between $1 million that you're saying this on the record today.
Yes, that is correct, but those are numbers that have was given to based on their expenditures, which actually has never been verified and validated to properly identify those grants if there are the prospective grants. Yeah, that's great. But as I said earlier, FEMA is also still giving us an opportunity to submit those expenditures, and from there we can be able to discuss with them and see whether this is still an allowable cost or is still within the period of performance as well.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Speaker Boss, you're recognized on questions on the OPA audit in our follow-up from last year.
Joe, let me go with a question. So right now you said you're still going through the process of being able to identify which are unallowable or question costs based on the receipts. If FEMA were to throw the hammer down today, based on a government shutdown, how much do we have to pay FEMA back?
FEMA, Speaker, I cannot identify that because right now I'm also, my role right now also is to also verify those validations. And just verifying those validations, I did find some of those expenditures that were not properly within the respective grants that is already currently identified. So we have to go back and get documentations to be able to reverse those. I don't have the numbers right now, Mr. Speaker.
What, based on, again, as was stated earlier, the OPA estimated that it's anywhere between actually 8.4 to upwards of $40 million. I'm a little concerned.
I know. Sir, I really cannot. Like I said, I just assume the role in verifying. I'm assisting HSA and verifying those numbers. You know, as it's hard for me to identify the numbers, so I'll let you know the numbers, sir.
Okay, I would appreciate if you would provide the committee with a,
Sure.
with that report, you know, post haste, okay?
I will, sir. Thank you.
Because, again, it's, you know, with regard to FEMA being tolerant and being patient, that patience and tolerance is probably is waning really quick.
Yes,
And
sir.
I just don't want to be caught with, one, recognizing that we may have to fund this, and then now we have to pay it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Understood.
You know, Lucy, you initially stated that, let me go back first to another thing. Esther, you had brought up that there was I guess an expense, or you were able to draw down about $260,000 in December from the 2019 grant?
Speaker, I believe it was closer to $284,000.
Okay,
$284,000.
284 from the 2019 grant?
Yes, sir.
How is that possible when the grants only have a 5-year extent?
It's possible, sir, just because of the tracking record that we have with our counterparts. It was during our closeout period for the drawdown, and when
Closeout period for 2019?
2019, 2020, closer to 2020, Speaker. So as we're closing these grants out for the period of performance, we provide FEMA all the documentation that we have, and then they scrutinize all the documents, and then they provide a ledger for us, which we have in front of us. And then they determine what is an eligible reimbursement for the grant that we were awarded in that time period. So even though the period of performance has expired, we still need to close the grants out, and this is all part of the administrative process, Speaker. And so this drawdown, if you will, was all part of that administrative process to close out this 2020 grant that was issued. And we got the notification in May of last year.
Okay. How many total staff do you have?
12, maybe.
How many different grants do you have?
I'm sorry, sir?
How many different grants do you have?
Grants? We have 7. We have 7 active grants,
Okay.
Speaker.
Lucy, you made a comment earlier saying that basically if your funding comes from a certain grant, all your work has to be dedicated to that grant. Am I correct?
Yes, that's how the grant is written. And if you're going to deviate from it, like me, put it on the table, I go and work on different areas, I have to get permission from my grantor that funds my salary, and then it must reflect on the timesheet what it is I'm doing.
Do you have instances where you have personnel under certain grant programs that are doing work in other areas other than the grant program?
Yes, yes. And that is one of the reasons why it has become an unallowable cost. So when we came
And it
in,
continues to become an unallowable cost, right? Because as we speak, there are certain individuals that are doing work that they're not supposed to be doing work based on their grant allocation or from the grants.
if we get permission from the grantor, there are
Have you gotten any permission for any of these positions to work in these other areas other than in their specific grants?
I know with my position, I have gotten.
Your position, what about other positions? Is
I
that
would-
in writing?
I would have to check the
Can we please
different-
see it in writing?
Yes.
Okay. I know that you have positions that are being funded by other grant programs that are doing work outside of the grant, okay, in other areas. Because you just finished saying, You got an operation of 12 individuals, you got 10 different grants. Okay, and we can go down the list of what your different functions are, which goes back to the concern about being able to hire people.
Right.
Okay. I took a ragtag bunch of group of individuals and made them into emergency management and given them the skills. So I'm just very concerned sitting here listening to the justification, if you will. Okay, it sounds to me more of an excuse than a reason as to why they haven't been built. Maybe there is another 800-pound gorilla in the room that we're not talking about. Okay? Relative to your correction action plan, how frequent is your conversation with FEMA on making sure that your corrective action plans are?
It depends on who's talking to who, but we have a bi-weekly cadence with FEMA, all the grant managers, not just their administrator of the different programs. We just discussed the cap when we received it. It's always on topic as to where we're at. We were waiting also for the official notification to ensure that it aligns with what we have submitted. So now that this document has been approved and is in place, we are setting up, or we have set up meetings with them so that we can go through each action item and not do a fire hose type of presentation, right? Okay. Where you just give it to them and say, here it is, review it, da-da-da-da. So we're actually going through timetables and making sure that every action item that's posted in the approved cap is gone through and is met. And as the HSA stated, in addition to what is written, we have individuals or positions that are responsible for ensuring that each actionable item is met. So for example, I've requested through the HSA, because of staff shortage, that utilizing this approved document now that everyone's going to be working on, that we establish a team, a meeting, and we meet weekly, and we have a task master, right? Because everyone's busy. They're managing their own stuff. And this task master is to ensure that if item number 2023-10 says written policies and procedures are done, it's done. And they actually provide documentation, and we submit it and say, this one is done, check on it, check the box, see if we've worked, and then move on to the next one.
Okay. Is it very safe to assume that your comprehensive emergency management plan is an integral or vital part of your corrective action plan?
It is a vital part for not only the corrective action plan, but just also for making sure that our documentation is updated. Right now, it's going through review by the different sections to ensure that we are incorporating lessons learned also from like Typhoon Mawar and cybersecurity issues and defense issues.
So you're saying it's going through review. So your emergency management plan has it been submitted to FEMA?
No, sir. We are at the process of doing one final review internally, and then we submit it over to Guam for their review, and then it will be officially once it goes through the corrections and updates, if any, then it goes over to FEMA, and FEMA will review that and then come back. And then once that's approved, then we bring it to the legislature. I would say, though, that we have been working, when government is open, with different representatives from FEMA through a technical assistance to ensure that what we're looking at is actually what is being done and is what is needed. So we have different individuals or programs that assist us.
And the reason why I bring this up is because, Ms. Aggie, in your presentation, you say verbatim, quote, "We updated the Territory of Guam Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, our foundational document guiding all emergency management activities." When you say you updated, the assumption here is that It was approved.
So Speaker, yes, I actually have a hard copy of the updated version right here. I will make sure that all the documents that we mentioned in this testimony are provided on a thumb drive. It's document heavy, and I wouldn't want everyone to be carrying out a stack. But yes, sir, it has been updated. However, the staffing process is in progress right now. Internal staff, and then after internal staff, we have our external staff, Government of Guam agencies who have a role in emergency management. We'll also review to see if their part in the emergency management plan is part of their plan. And then once we get that staffing completed, we submit it to the governor for her review and then her direction. And then after that, sir, we provide it to FEMA and of course to this committee for your review.
Okay. So it's in the process of being updated?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last question with regard to, and this is just with regard to the corrective action plan. When can we see finality in this whole thing?
The final document from FEMA?
When can we say this is now behind us, we move forward?
So, sir, I provided a hard copy of the letter that we received to the chair. And there are, so even though it's good news, the period of execution was actually before we received news that the plan was approved. So we put a timeline on our corrective action plan when we submitted to FEMA, saying that by January 15th, we would start and we would look at all the corrective actions that are necessary. And so when it went back and forth, you know, the government shutdown kind of caused a short pause in the review of it. But by the time we were notified by FEMA that the plan was approved, it was January 21st. And then by the time we received it in our email, it was January 24th. So when I received it, I immediately asked, in fact, we were on a conference call with our grants management division, asking them, I am going to immediately request for an extension of that execution date because January 15th has already happened. Would you please give us some time to implement the plan? So that request is being reviewed right now by FEMA. But because the plan took a while to review and approve, the targeted date to start implementing it had already preceded the date of approval and the date that we received it. So in that packet that I gave you, Mr. Chair, it shows not only the corrective action plan in its entirety, but I believe it also has my letter of request to extend the resolution deadline from January 15th to another date that's that's allowable by federal guidelines to allow us to start working and showing and demonstrating that we're following the corrective action plan.
What is the consequence for not following the corrective action plan?
Senator, please say it again.
What is the consequence for not following the corrective action plan?
What is the cost?
Consequences, holding grants.
Sir, it'll be a hold on grants. It'll be a repeat finding in audits, which we want to stay away from. Those are the two most critical that I see if we don't follow the corrective action plan.
Hence why my first thing, I'm going back to you, we need a copy of where we're at. If FEMA was to say, enough's enough,
Yes, sir, and that's where we come in now and work on those validation and verifying those actual expenditures, as a way to do a corrective action plan based on those findings.
And the listing of those personnel that are occupying positions that are not being, that shouldn't be occupying positions based on their grants. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and be advised to the committee, we'll be sending over a copy of the January 21st, 2026 letter from Bob Fenton, Regional Administrator of FEMA Region 9, to the Government of Guam, and the corrective action plan and the details, and to include your letter. So again, thank you for providing that in advance to the committee. They now have copies of it, and we will be making sure the electronic version gets to them as soon as possible. Thanks again for doing that. Senator Duenas, do you have any questions on the audit from the OPA?
Mr. Chair, and if some of you are wondering why I had meandered off, I had all my questions fired off for the entire bullet points, but without being redundant, I will just go with some follow-ups. That's why my questions were kind of down the line as well. The audit confirmed major fiscal non-compliance driven by a revolving door of leadership and a persistent hiring of unqualified personnel into critical fiscal and grants management roles. These staffing decisions directly contributed to repeated audit failures, weak internal controls, and the inability to meet federal and local financial requirements. When an agency responsible for emergency preparedness cannot maintain basic fiscal discipline, the risks are far beyond paperwork. So I think your presentation went into that, and I asked a lot of questions about hiring and about grants management, and of course what the findings have done. I think directly to you, Joe, I think the multi-million-dollar question that us that are managing finances and also our people want to know is since you say that you, let's put this on the record first, you're saying the latest that you've been able to kind of close out, if you will, was 2019, is that correct?
That is correct. 2019 and 20, if I'm not mistaken, on 2020 as well. Those were closed out, and there were some findings on there. So, but we still have other fiscal year that we are going back and validate those expenditures and properly charge them to the right grant. And we're looking at that as well, you know, and hopefully we can be able to get some money back from our federal partners. But we are reviewing those expenditures, sir.
So does that mean then now that the team is currently working on 2021 and forward?
We're trying to do as much as order to current, sir, up to the current, preparing ourselves before our next FEMA review in April. So we're trying to get all those things together also for their review to include that. Because I'm pretty sure they're probably going to go back and also ask for those expenditures.
Yeah, Actually, I think we're going to be expecting something pretty soon in terms of the audit, from what I understand. So the overall single audit for the government of Guam. So I think maybe some of this follow-ups might be included. So Joe, I think the big thing is, so just so we know these timelines, I'm sure the chairman will do some follow-up down the line. But so in April, would that be a review of everything that's not closed out 21 and forward?
No, sir. It'll be a random selection of grants management, whether it be, so what I do know is that they will look at Homeland Security grants, they will look at emergency management preparedness grants, but the bulk of what they're looking at will be with the public assistance grants, just to see, you know, where they stand and what progress they're making.
That is correct, sir. So as I said earlier, so we are working all the way back to at least our last audit, which I'm sure they're probably going to pick up everything as of ending the fiscal year. So we're also working on those information and getting those expenditures and validation for those, you know, and properly charge it to the right grants, if not.
So are those a reflection of current grants management, or that's just a shot in time and you're trying to get that money back? Because Lucy, do you have a grants manager then on the backlog, basically accounting for your reporting, your ability to go in and make the request again? Or is that just the overall agency?
It's the overall agency. So what the process is now, like the HSA was saying, is that we just finished the 2020 in 2025 or 2026. And then our grantor, for example, HSGP, we're going to start working on 21 and 22. The audit that's coming up in April, they selected, I think, 4 different areas: Homeland Security, nonprofit, public assistance, EMPG, and BRIC, which are other grants. And so they will give us, they've already stated that those grants will be the ones that are part of that audit. Okay. All the while working to close out previous year's grants.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Yes.
I'm glad I moved
Yeah,
over here.
and working on the cap at the same time. So
Okay.
everybody's aware, at least on the FEMA DHS side and OHS, OCD, and GRO, about the crunch, right, the timelines, and why it's really critical that we work with our grantors and start, when they provide us their list of items that they look at, that we get it to them and make sure that it's done properly.
So Joe, what I'm trying to drive at here is, of course, what I said earlier. We're trying to prevent the fact that the general fund has to subsidize what we should be rightfully entitled to under federal programs. So when we're reimbursed, does that then go into an account that becomes available once again to be drawn down by FEMA and by OCD GHS going forward?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, what we do is we submit those requests to FEMA, and then FEMA reimburses Homeland. And we just identify the funding with general fund or DOA properly makes all those adjustments and properly transfer those monies. Yeah.
Obviously, you can tell that this is a finance and budget question,
Yes,
and
yes.
the reason why is I'm looking forward to the day if we, hopefully we're all on track and we start receiving those benefits. That should defer the need for the federal or for the local appropriation, because you can start using those reimbursements going forward, because it will replenish your account, correct?
That's correct. That is correct, sir. And as said earlier, again, what we're doing right now is making sure that this won't happen again from the last findings. So we're trying to prevent any findings, future findings and findings that's coming up in April. So, we reduce those findings. So we're just trying to make sure that we're all in place and making sure everything is proper. We also have a system with Homeland right now is that we review the numbers, get the numbers from the FMIS system. Of course, we've been challenged earlier this fiscal year or last fiscal year as far as the migration to the new system. Also proper training to our staff, to be able to understand the new system. But like I said, we want to reduce those findings, before as soon as possible.
So I guess just one final comment, Ms. Esther, and I think this is to the crux of what our people want to know as well. The presentation here is the corrective action plan can enhance our ability to recover. It's supposed to stabilize going forward. I mean, is that pretty much where we're at?
You said it better than I could, sir, but I think in addition to that, it will now hold people accountable for what they are supposed to be doing. And I think that's what we owe the people of Guam, accountability at the very least.
So what I look forward to, and I think that this committee looks forward to, and Joe, you know how critical this is that, we know immediately when you're having these successes in terms of, getting approvals on their prior year going forward, and that reporting is critical to us as well in terms of managing finances. So we look forward to you making sure that the committee knows immediately when we're getting headway on this issue.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Senator Duenas. Senator Borja, you're recognized. Any questions on the 2024 Office of Public Accountability Audit?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple questions. So, I try to look up staffing patterns. I know we talked a lot, or you mentioned earlier in regards to some of the challenges in regards to just filling some of the positions, and then I'm looking at the corrective action plan, and obviously a lot of this is going to require people. How do you think you're going to address that, considering the challenges? What is your, one, that's my first question, and then what's your head count, like your hot and your warm bodies in regards to what you have currently at OHS, OCD?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. I'm actively working with the Department of Administration, with the guidance from the governor, to hire to those vacancies. In fact, this week I have a meeting with DOA to look at the list of available or eligible people to possibly fill some of these vacancies. And yes, the CAP plan is extensive and intensive. I don't know which is heavier. and it's going to require a food deck on board. So while we work to fill those vacancies, the staff that you see before you will continue to push and work on solutions and stay focused on what we need to do to make sure and do the best we can to be good stewards of federal dollars. I know it's really important to this committee. It's definitely important to the Office of Homeland Security and Civil Defense. And we want to be able to turn the perception of that office. We want to be able to turn that around to a more positive image in the community. I'm all about image. Optics are very important, and protecting the brand is very important to me. And the fact that the Office of Homeland Security has Homeland and Security in it, that tells the people of Guam that you can trust us. You can trust us to protect you in times of crisis. You can trust us to respond in an emergency. And you can also trust us with the federal dollars that are given to us to run these agencies efficiently, as they were designed to be. So my hope is that we will turn this around, and so that we can earn the respect and the confidence of the people of Guam. I hope I've answered your question.
But considering just kind of the constraints to addressing the staffing shortages, because it's not new, right? And we kind of heard this last year, is because this corrective action plan, it was something that they agreed to or approved pretty much. What are some risk mitigation, I guess, should you not get the people? Because again, right, you like we said, we want to restore that trust. But at what point, or at least where should we see a flag come up? Should you not get those people, and then we can address the Correction Active Plan?
So we'll continue to seek help with our interagency partners within the government of Guam. We'll continue to seek help from the governor's office, with Department of Administration, with the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. There are other agencies who are always on standby to help us. For example, with our facilities issues, we lean heavily on the Department of Public Works, the Guam Airport Authority, those agencies that have a first responder platform, because they too understand that if Office of Homeland Security and Civil Defense is ready, then therefore they can be ready too. It's a partnership it's an enduring partnership. So if we come up short, we will continue to seek help in those areas like we are doing right now. We realize we can't do it by ourselves. And so we have no problem at all reaching out to other agencies to see if they can help us with the work ahead.
And again, just back to my question about the staffing pattern, because when we look at operations and whether or not you're operating at a sustainable headcount, what is that number? What is the sustainable headcount to give us the confidence that you're going to be able to execute these grants and not have any issues, at least in an audit?
I would say that, since we're holding the fort down now with 11 people, an ideal number would be about 18 to 22 would restore it to what it was before today. And we would have planners in place, we will have program coordinators in place, a grants manager and assistance grant managers should also be part of that configuration. And that we can adequately manage all the programs that we have with a staff of 18 to 22. 11 now is hurting, and until then, we'll continue to do what we can. But eventually, it's going to take that one straw to break the camel's back, and we don't want to see that day ever come.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, if there is a way, like I shared earlier, the last staffing pattern I at least received from the committee was the FY24. Is there an updated staffing pattern that you could share with the committee so that we can kind of reference that in the future? But other than that, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Senator Borja. We can get that from the committee. And just one comment on that, and then before I turn it to the Vice Speaker, I think that absolutely, if it's a priority of this administration to address these 7 folks that can support, I can't see why right now there cannot be a detailed appointment today. I've been saying that over and over and over again. You now have a corrective action plan. I'm hoping that the administration, or at least the governor's office, is listening to this conversation this morning and start identifying 7 people that they can send to you based on this conversation right now. So, and that's my opinion, and it can be done. Just got to have the will and the priority to do so. Vice Speaker and co-chair of this committee, you have any questions on the talking about the OPA audit?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And a lot of my colleagues had asked, and also the chairman of Finance and Budget. I think the only other question I probably would have is currently how many folks do you have that are detailed to Homeland Security or Office of Civil Defense?
Sir, we have 1 person detailed to the Office of Homeland Security.
Just 1 person? And
Yes, sir.
what department or agency did that individual come from?
The Department of Public Health and Social
Department of Public
Services.
Health?
Yes, sir.
And that individual is filling what position at Homeland Security?
She is performing administrative work,
Administrative work?
administrative support.
Okay, so does that take away from Department of Public Health, the work that that individual has been doing at Public Health?
Sir, I know it helps us.
Yeah, I understand it helps, and that's what we want to do, right? Is
Yes, sir.
see what we can do to help agencies, but having her detailed to Homeland Security, has that put Public Health now in a situation where they're not able to, someone else has to fill that position there?
Sir, I'm not able to answer that question. I can answer that she's tremendous help being down at Homeland.
Okay, thank you, and that's the only question I have on this section.
All right, thank you so much, Vice Speaker Atta. Let's move on now to the Emergency Operations Center. I only have a few questions, actually 1 comment and a question. Again, it's good to hear and that you provided the timeline. I'm hoping that the committee, if we don't already have it, then we can share it with the rest of the committee. I think that was pretty important, especially when you mentioned the interagency coordination. So Esther, thank you for that today for this oversight hearing. But prior to, and this is probably a more important question relative to the Operations Center, or the EOC, prior to and following the temporary closure of the EOC back in November 2025. What information is available, and this is for the people that are watching today, confirming the establishment of an alternate EOC whenever the Agana Heights facility is deemed unsafe and or inoperable?
Sir, conversation between the acting adjutant general and myself has commenced. We are looking over the emergency operations plan, or the COOP plan, to identify alternate sites in the event we are not able to have operations down at the EOC. In one of the plans, the National Guard is actually mentioned as an alternate site in addition to the Guam airport. However, we need to solidify that, and we need to talk with the individuals from those 2 agencies to ensure that they are aware that they're listed as alternate sites in the event we cannot perform operations down at in our Agana Heights office.
Okay, thank you for that, and I'm sure that it's not far from the COOP plan, so I'm hoping that you can identify that pretty quickly. And I'm just going to ask very quickly, since you've been there, are you finding employees that are reporting that they're ill, that are not unable to work because of the conditions at the EOC?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Speaker Bloss, you have any questions on the Emergency Operations Center?
Thank you very much. Let's go through a tour. You know, from the parking lot into the operation, into the facility. What's the state and the condition that they're in right now? Let's start with your parking lot and then your entrance.
The state of, I would say, we are, you know, in the military, and I have to talk to the military because I've been there for such a long time, there are color codes. And the color codes range from green to red to amber, indicating certain stages of readiness. For obvious reasons, you know, red is, you need to pay more attention to this. Amber would be, you might, you know, you'll get by with this, and green is you are fully operational. If I were to assess the condition of the Office of Homeland Security and Civil Defense right now, Speaker, I would say we are in an amber state. from the parking lot. The parking lot has absolutely no provisions for physical security, none whatsoever, which is why we included physical security platforms to eventually put a controlled gate to protect the premise in the last grant that we submitted as part of our cybersecurity grant. Entering the building is also a physical security concern of mine. For the longest time, the front door has been left open at all hours of the day and night, and people can get access to at least the lobby. If you have an access card, you could gain access from that first door of entry into the building. So physical security measures have been implemented to try to mitigate that. However, the condition of our 40-year-old building warrants upgrades. We have leaks in the front that have compromised a cipher lock that we have installed to lock the front door.
Hang on, you said 40-year-old?
Yes, sir. The building was built in 1980.
What about your extension? When was that built?
The extension is the
I'm
portion
fully
that's
aware.
further up. Yes, sir. Even at that, Speaker, the building has not been maintained for a very long time, and so maintenance has caught up. And we're doing everything we can to find solutions to mitigate the antiquated systems that are in place right now.
Lucy, when was that building? When was the extensions?
I don't recall, but I can get back to you. But
It was sometime definitely after me.
yes,
I left there in 2006.
yes. But again, as the HSA stated, maintenance of the building,
Okay,
for whatever reason.
let's continue with the tour. Keep going.
Once you enter the building, sir, and you have the credentials to get into the building, then you have access to just about every single office that's not locked. For the most part, the EOC, the actual Emergency Operations Center, is functional and mission capable. However, the systems that are in that EOC are antiquated. We have asked OTEC if they could take a look at it, kind of give us an overall estimate and outlook on what, and the systems in there need upgrading. To re-provision and re-image the systems would cost more than investing in just replacing the entire topography of that EOC.
Let's go back to your garage and your elevator before you get into the EOC. What's the condition of those areas?
So the condition of the garage is, I would say it does not meet the standards. It is used for storage purposes. The roll-up doors one is functional and the other can be operated manually. However, it doesn't meet standards by any means. I know that was repaired probably back in 22, but I don't think it was repaired correctly. The elevator, now functional, fully functional. We have a permit to operate it, needs servicing. Servicing that has not been performed for a number of years. So we were able to get the assistance of Department of Public Works to help us with a scope of work to identify the things that need to be replaced with the elevator. We have a temporary permit to operate, and we needed to get that to comply with OSHA and with ADA.
Your fusions. Now, you got in out of the elevator, came down the stairs.
You'll see.
Next section.
Yes, okay. All the equipment needs to be antiquated. And I want to go all the way to the back of the room where the fusion center is located.
Okay. Let's go to the Fusion Center.
Okay, let's go there. So, sir, that space that the Fusion Center currently occupies was designed to be a male bunker room. It's adjacent to the male restroom, and there's a door that leads to it for obvious reasons. But I guess throughout time, space was needed to create a Fusion Center. I was told that there was a small storage space in the facility that the Fusion Center once occupied, but it's a narrow space, probably not good for safety measures. And as they grew, they migrated to the back, which was designed as a male bunk room. So when our sewage issues continued to happen, the sewage overflowed into the Fusion Center, and it's carpeted, and it was hard to determine where the flow was, which was probably the culprit for the mold that grew in there. On top of the air conditioning system that goes on and off at times, the humidity that builds up in there. It's underground, so we don't have windows to open. So that's the current state of where it is right now. However, minus the sewer flow, I believe we have fixed that problem, sir. We have installed new pumps. We're monitoring it. And now that E91 call center and the fire department have vacated some spaces within our initial operating facility, that place is actually more conducive, probably mode-free for the Fusion Center operations and staff to now occupy as their new home.
You say in your report here that the Fusion Center has since moved?
No, sir, it says we are in the process of relocating them.
Oh, so you haven't moved yet?
They have not moved. The Guam Fire Department just moved the last of their equipment last week. And so then it requires some professional cleaning surges throughout the years. You know, it's been used, people use it for various.
Is Fusion Center operational right now?
Pardon me, sir?
Is the Fusion Center operational right now?
The Fusion Center is operational where they're currently at right now. But even their equipment also needs to be replaced. They have antiquated equipment, software that they need to look at criminal
Hold that
law
thought, okay,
enforcement.
because when we get to actually item E, I'm going to ask a little bit more about that. But let's continue the tour. Your secure communications room.
Sir, the secure communications room is accessible by only 3 people. I'm not even one of them.
Okay.
I don't know what the condition of that room is. What I do know is that there was an inspection done to see if that room qualified as a secure room, and I've been told it did not pass that inspection.
Does anybody here have access to that room? Other than you, Jess? Who else? Can you come on up?
Have access to that room? Just escorted. Oh.
I know, I just need to know the condition of the secure.
Half a day, Speaker. My name is Jessica Egley. I'm not allowed to speak on behalf of my department officially without getting their permission in advance. However, I believe that Lucy can back up what I'm about to tell you, which is that the air conditioning is still out. The temperature the last time we checked, which was Friday, was 84 degrees. And there may be a leak coming from the bathroom that's in there, but it's non-functional.
Okay, thank you very much. Of the people that are in here other than Jessica, who else is allowed to be in that secure room? Okay. Let's complete the tour and come now into your administrative offices and stuff. What's the condition there? Well, what happened to the generator? Where's the generator? The generator used to be downstairs, and as soon as we're going, where's your generator at now?
Still downstairs, Speaker.
It's still in that same room, Lucy?
Sir.
Are you still having, was with regard to ventilation and fuel storage and everything, how does that work out?
That has been remediated. We actually had a team come in and change out the vents. And then also in terms of working on the generator, the ATS, and the storage tank, the fuel storage tank, which is how we were able to get the permits there. And we've also provided additional security besides your card reader access. We physically put on a bolt on it.
Okay. Your internet or your Wi-Fi or your communications capabilities?
So in OHS OCD, we do have we have 2 secured rooms for telecommunication. The one upstairs, when you first come in from the lobby, houses the 911 system, or LMR system, and our Nitro Gear, which is another system that monitors GPS timing. On the bottom floor, closest to the admin area, we have the secure telecom room. And that room is the access point where all providers, whether it be wireless, internet, landline, enter into the building and then put their equipment in there. And then it branches out utilizing OTEC or the contractors to provide services. We do have a server rack in there for our secure room for the Fusion Center, but only authorized people are able to touch that rack. I mean, even installers, if Ms. Egley or the Fusion Center director does not vet the people coming in, they're not allowed access.
Okay. Okay, now let's go to the admin area. What's the status?
Okay. So the admin officer is a typical admin office. There's more furniture than there are people in that office. It could use some organization as far as filing is concerned, but it's occupied by, like I said, more furniture than folks in there.
Okay. Okay, redundancy, mobile command center, where's that?
So the mobile command center is now with the Guam Police Department. They utilize it more often than we do.
Who is with the who?
The Guam Police Department. Sir. And so
is it operational?
It is operational, sir.
Okay. Vehicles.
We have a fleet of five vehicles that were purchased by federal dollars. We have 2 that are mission capable, and the other 3 were purchased a long time ago, and can be operational with the help of a new battery or some maintenance. But the servicing on the vehicle service maintenance on the 2 operational vehicles, we haven't seen any servicing on those vehicles for at least 2 years.
So
could be more.
Of the 5 vehicles you have in your fleet, how many of them are operational?
2.
2. And what kind of vehicles are they?
We have a Toyota 4Runner and a Toyota Tacoma truck.
Is that sufficient for your operations now?
Yes, sir. For now.
For now?
For now.
Okay. Communications amongst staff,
Yeah. We have issued official cell phones to official staff, and our service providers are Guam, or Docomo, and GTA.
What about redundancies? How about interagency operability?
We are working with GPD on their LMR, utilizing the LMR for interagency operability. We've also worked with the other agencies in trying to understand just what type of communication devices they have to ensure that in the event that we do get funding to upgrade OHS OCD's equipment, we'll have similar type equipment so that we can communicate. I would say though that the LMR, because of their recent upgrades, we do need to purchase radios. We still have the talk groups established, but once they change over to the new system.
Isn't that something that we're supposed to do about a decade ago?
I'm sorry?
Wasn't that something that was supposed to have been done a decade ago?
Yes, sir, but that's under GPD and that's their funding. I believe they got their funding and they're currently going through it now. And I know they're going through their upgrades because I see Motorola and GPD at our building on the first comms room,
Okay,
putting in all the equipment.
so we're operating in an unsecured facility with infrastructure, water, power, and whatnot, that's hanging on a thread, operating with only 2 vehicles, okay? In an area that is short-staffed, with an operation that's short-staffed. Ms. Aggie, are you sure this is just amber?
I'm sorry, sir?
Are you sure then this is just an amber?
Sir, yes. I say we are in amber. If we were in red, we wouldn't be able to perform any kind of response whatsoever.
Would it be safe to say that your operations was much more equipped and much more staffed pre-Typhoon Mawar than it is today?
That is correct.
And our response efforts, we thought our response effort for Mawar was exceptional, was good.
Sir, I believe it was, I came in a few weeks after Mawar, and so from what I can see and from what I've observed and from what I know, the response, there was a response. I don't know how adequate it was. I just know, sir, that, the people that work there, if push came to shove and they needed to respond to an emergency, they will find
There's no doubt
every
about
means.
it. But I'm looking at basically, you just said you're short about a dozen personnel. You don't have the proper equipment. Your equipment is outdated. Your facility, I didn't even talk to you about the mold issue. Okay, and if we were to have another event, such as Mawar again, okay, are we ready to be able to handle it?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Duenas, you're recognized. Questions on the Emergency Operations Center.
Sidus Masi, Mr. Chair. After the tour and the responses, I have to say I have no questions, but I have to say that I'm gravely concerned. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Duenas. Senator Borja, you're recognized on questions on the EOC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I share the same sentiment. I was really, I paid a lot of attention to the tour because I think it's really important. I mean, we talk about the staffing, just some of the underlying issues, and then now you just talk about the infrastructure, like Senator Duenas says. I think it's a little concerning because when you look at, aside from just trying to bring people over, first I want to say thank you guys who continue to do what you do there, considering the state of the facilities, right? Because when you look at organizations and why people stick around, a lot of, that plays a big part because that's where you spend most of your time. And just the resources or lack thereof. And I guess my question, and we can get into this later in budget, but just really how you guys do it. And I know you can get more people, but the facilities, what's the plan to maybe I missed that earlier, but what is the plan to just kind of, to go from amber to, what's the level after that? Green. That's my only question. If you could just answer that.
Sir, part of that plan would be a small portion of the budget that we submitted for operations and maintenance. That will get us probably not necessarily to green, but it'll definitely get us a level higher than amber. If we could address our facilities issues and woes, which we are right now. I can say with confidence since August up until now, we have addressed the sewer concerns. We have addressed the air conditioning malfunction. We have addressed the fuel problems that we have with our generator. What was once an underground generator that had water seeping into the underground storage tank is no longer that. We were able to build a berm around the edges of the road tops so that water doesn't seep into it. We are still trying to close out past grants, just trying to be good stewards of federal dollars so that we can get more money from our federal counterparts. But we definitely need some operational and maintenance money, and that's probably not going to come from our grants. And if this body is willing to help us in that manner, it would definitely move the needle a lot more to the right and take us away from the left, which is what we want to stay away from. So if there was a color between amber and green, I'd say turquoise. But that's not a color that's identified, but I definitely would like to move us away from amber and get to a wellness state so that we can say that, we can confidently say that we are ready for anything. But right now, it would be very taxing on the personnel who are still there, making things matter, making readiness matter, making emergency management matter.
Just one more, Mr. Chair, if I may. You know, Ms. Agigi, you're referencing a lot of your military the terms and how you're classifying the state of the facilities. But I guess my question is the administration, considering it's amber, right? I mean, in the military, if it's amber, the commander, the first sergeant is sending everybody down there to figure out and at least get it to a turquoise or whatever. What is the plan for the administration right now until the legislature addresses it? Obviously, it's not at a state where she's sending a bill down here for an emergency session. But for me, like just going through the tour with the speaker earlier, I would say there's a state of an emergency in regards to just the state of the facility and for it to be workable or livable. What's the administration's position? That's my last question, Mr. Chair. If you can just answer it. Thank you.
Sir, I know that the governor has provided us with some guidance and support in possibly seeking additional funding from FEMA to see if we could find a project or some source of revenue. I'm sorry, not revenue, but a funding source to probably not necessarily build another building, but to get money to maybe start looking at improvements. To start upgrading. And right now, we have a couple of grants that will help us with some of that. For example, we have our cybersecurity grant that could probably help us with updating antiquated systems. But as far as hard structures, the brick and mortar, we would have to just continue looking. FEMA is definitely, federal grants are definitely an area that we need to look into. We have blueprints that have been developed decades ago to show an expansion of the EOC, maybe towards the back a little bit. But like everything else, funding is an issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Senator Borja. The co-chair of the committee, Senator Ada, do you have any questions on the EOC?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Probably just a couple. What are the current status of the emergency sirens that are deployed throughout the island?
Sir, I'm happy to report that is green.
Very green.
Very green.
Oh,
We
so
every Tuesday on every month we activate those sirens and they go off, and we're absolutely pleased with that. And even though they work, we do need to upgrade those systems to a more updated platform and topography to address the growing need, the tsunami need, anything else that we could deal with. Amber alerts. We want to get into the school systems. We want a comprehensive alert system that is user-friendly and interoperable, not only with our law enforcement agencies, but with the community as well, especially with our mayors. We work very closely with our mayors, especially with the all hazards alert warning system, and I haven't heard any complaints from them yet.
So how is it monitored that they're all operational and functional? Is that remotely, or is there someone at each site during this particular date and time that it's going to be tested to actually be there to hear it activated?
It's both, sir. So it starts out with a schedule. Our PIO sends a schedule out to the public to let them know that on this date at this time, 3:15 is usual times. So everybody's used to knowing, or when they hear the siren, that there will be testing. And then we also have individuals who go out. We have partners, like from the mayor's office or wherever the sirens are located, to call in. And if they don't call in, we have staff in our state warning point that will call the contact people and say, hey, we tested the sirens. Did you hear it? What did you hear? And that's an important question, because if they come back and they say, oh, all I heard was a voice, then we know to work with our vendors to go out to that site. We recently upgraded the encoder to ensure that it's got the latest software in it. And as part of the next generation warning system, we're going to be procuring additional mobile sirens so that in the event a siren that is fixed goes down, we can swap it out while the repairs are being done.
So how often are these systems maintained?
There is a maintenance agreement. I recall just seeing it. I've asked for an update, but it's quarterly or on call.
Or on call?
Yes.
Quarterly?
So
and
for-
they go out there and maintain
And they go out there, yes.
maintain the entire system, make sure everything's
Yes.
functional. And is that contract currently up to date? Are we behind on that, where we're going to get disconnected, or?
No, we need to renew a contract, and the program manager did request for that,
And
and
when-
he's done follow up on it.
When is that contract up for renewal?
I believe it expired already. I got to double check. I'll
So
double check.
we have an expired contract for our emergency warning system.
I got to double check, like I said. I just saw the email, so I have to read it.
Okay, so the other question I had, and it was a concern that one of my colleagues had also mentioned, and this has been previously in civil defense and homeland security on emergency fallout shelters. And I did mention that Guam had a list of fallout shelters throughout the island. And has any update been done on that as to where we currently are with fallout shelters, and how does this help or?
Senator, I am not aware of an update on those fallout shelters. But I will look into it, sir, and I will get back with you if it is included in our emergency management plan or even with our emergency operations plan.
Yeah, so the comprehensive emergency management plan, is that the full plan with all the annexes, and or is that just the base plan that you currently have?
So, Senator, the base plan we have is actually the actual plan. It's an all hazards approach to address any kind of hazard, any kind of incident. And then it'll be up to each government or Guam agency to address each hazard that happens in their own agency.
All right, and the vehicles that the speaker was mentioning earlier, what vehicles are down? Because I know you said what vehicles were operational, but what vehicles are currently down?
Senator, we have a van, a 6-passenger van, and then we have two, they're called stake trucks. They're large, they look like dualies, used for probably operational purposes.
Is that used to tow the command center, or that?
One of them is.
One of them is.
Yes, sir.
So how's the other vehicle still operational, the other dually truck, or, yeah?
Yes, sir. We had Department of Public Works work with us to repair the vehicle that transports the MCP.
And is there any grants available to have those get new vehicles online, or how's that currently being handled now? Is any repairs being done to it, or maintenance requests?
So currently, we are looking at the grants for purchase of additional equipment. I do know that they were purchased through the emergency management grant and the HSGP grant, right? In terms of repair, we coordinate with DPW to assist us, and that's how we were able to get the responder that transports the mobile command post. So we work together in getting that equipped and repaired.
I see.
And we did put into budget for complete maintenance cost, so that we can get everything up to par, inclusive of batteries, spark plugs, servicing, etc.
And who, is there anyone on Homeland Security or Civil Defense that's a maintenance individual, vehicle maintenance individual?
No, not at this time, which is why we rely on DPW.
No, sir.
I see. Okay, and then the, perhaps maybe my final question, is there any other contracts or agreements that have expired or are currently expiring that is going to be of concern in the very near future?
Yes.
And that is?
So we are concerned most especially with our DLAN, which is our disaster management system.
That has been
Yeah.
an issue previously,
Right.
and
So
is an issue again?
it's going to be an issue because we have to put in a requisition for that to renew it. And then we also have our website maintenance, which is also a critical part because this is where people, all the residents, our partners can go into and look at and receive updates on what's happening on the island coming out from our PIO and also looking at plans. So we are working on getting the funding for that so a proper requisition can be put in for a purchase order. We are working with the vendor also notifying them of the status, and they've been working with us and being patient with us.
So is the website currently down?
No, they're both operational.
They're both operational?
Yes.
So how far behind are we in payments?
For the website, just this fiscal year, October 1st to present. So I'm working with BBMR and seeing how we can get funding for that. DLAN, we need for FY26 contract, so October 1st. But they are still operational. We go in every day and check.
Yeah. So, but we're not sure how long, or they decide to
If they
flip the
want to be
switch and
gracious,
say,
yes,
yeah.
we don't.
Yeah, so I guess those are.
Which is why we keep them in the loop of, when they provide invoices, we give them status updates.
Okay, thank you.
And I
Thank
work
you,
with
Ms.
DOA to make sure that, and DOA has been really, really helpful in terms of, once we submit invoices, they'll be able to go in, provided that all the required documents are in place to make payment.
Well, now that you brought that up, so is the payment problem with Homeland Security or DOA? You submitted the invoices, did DOA pay the invoices or not? Or you guys did not submit the invoices, so DOA could not pay?
I believe, based on experience, you can't hold DOA responsible for that. They're doing their job within their requirements, right?
That wasn't
it's
the
finding
question,
the
though.
funding.
That's not the question.
Yeah,
The question,
they're paying it.
The question is, you guys submitted your invoices. Were the invoices paid by DOA, yes or no?
Yes, they have paid some of our invoices.
So what is the issue with the DLAN and the website then?
Right now, it's a requisition issue. It's a requisition issue. It's finding
And who
the funding
takes care of the
source.
requisition issue?
It would
then?
be us. We
You-
would have to enter the requisition.
So
provided we
what
have
is
a
the
funding
delay?
source.
What is the delay with the requisition?
Funding source.
Funding source?
Yes, and I've already requested through our grantor to see if we can utilize our grant, like EMPG and HSGP, to use funding from those two grants so that we can enter the requisition. And yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm requesting through EMPG because they utilize it in the EOC, and EOC operations falls under that, and through HSGP because of the intelligence sharing information and cybersecurity. So if programs connect, if any programs touch a vendor, then we try to properly allocate it.
I see. Okay. So we're working on it.
Yes, sir,
All right.
actively. Joe Cabana knows because he always reminds me.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Moving on, we have two more items on the oversight hearing agenda. Let's talk about the Guam Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. And I know you mentioned it before, but what additional resources have been required by your agencies to implement the plan pursuant to Public Law 38-20 from June 2025?
Sir, at this point, no additional resources have been requested for or allocated to update the 2016 plan to its current version right now, which is undergoing the staffing sequence.
Thank you so much. Based on your communication with agencies across the government of Guam, and I know that you have been, how many of these entities have a continuity of operations plan or an updated continuity of command plan in place as of December 31st, 2025? And what steps are your offices taking to ensure that the agencies that lack that work plan to develop this information sooner than later?
Sir, the answer to that question would be no agencies have a copy of the updated plan as of this time right now.
No, so do all the agencies have continuity of operations plans?
I would say they should, sir, but I am not confident that they all do. I would have to do a inventory with them, a conversation with them to see if they actually have a copy.
Get it back to the committee. I think for me, having helped write at least one at another branch of government, I know they have one, but yeah, it would be good for this committee's visibility to understand that process, because, you know, the comprehensive emergency response plan is also, we need all of our plans updated. So let me go ahead and I'll turn it over to our speaker for any questions on the response plan update.
Well, I'm just very much interested to see the update of the plan. Okay. What were some of the significant additions or changes to the plan that you had made in the update?
Sir, significant updates would be to include cybersecurity in that plan, and then a portion of it may also include artificial intelligence. In addition to that, sir, it would be an update on the missile attack, the ballistic missile attack plan, which falls under an annex that talks about weapons of mass destruction. But now it's more specific. It talks about weapons of mass destruction, but an actual section on a ballistic missile attack incident.
Okay. Is there an annex or is there conversation in the plan about the fusion center, on the operations of the fusion center and how it integrates with the emergency management plan?
Yes.
By what means?
Yes, sir. Not much has changed with that, Speaker. If there is any additions to it, it would be to expand the analysts that are in the Fusion Center.
Okay, I guess I'm more interested in as far as finding out what the chain of authority, what chain of command is, and as far as the Fusion Center, non-emergency and emergency.
So, Speaker, by law, the Fusion Center falls under the auspices of Homeland Security.
Yes.
Yes. And I can quote the authority if you want, Senator, but I don't want to insult you with that. But their operations falls under the direct authority of the Homeland Security Advisor.
And the reason I'm asking this is because I know that there's a direct correlation between Homeland Security, first off, your HSGP, okay, and your Fusion Center funding, and whether or not this is recognized and you articulated this in your emergency management plan. Okay, you recognize this, don't you, Lucy?
Yes, sir. And there is a document actually from the Fusion Center and DHS that shows the working together between an EOC and Fusion Center and what the roles are. We've actually, during Mawar and I think Beloved, we did include the Fusion Center in some of the EOC operations. They were part of the plan itself when set up, so that they are part of the information sharing, besides their regular work, right? So for example, during Mawar, Fusion Center, although they were in the background, they were tracking or they were working with their intelligence officer in terms of boat typhoon, right? With that work. Then we also had some of their staff on the law enforcement side working with us in the EOC to validate data So that's how, when the plan is updated, we're going to look at closely of how we can ensure that there is processes in place and what the roles and responsibilities are and the reporting authorities. Because all that information, once validated, goes into the daily meetings that the HSA/administrator attends that gives to the public and FEMA federal partners.
Okay. Along those lines, does your plan right now include, I'm sure you've got interagency cooperation and interoperability, what, right?
Yes, sir. But I do have to tell you, we're also, as part of the technical assistance, we're upgrading or updating our PACE plan, which is the interoperable communication site for primary, secondary emergency communication.
Okay.
And it also includes the internet and undersea cables, looking at it, should there be a cut, are we still able to get information? Because that has been one of the difficulties. If there was a cut on the undersea cable or a low maintenance, some providers say, you're still receiving, so it works. But for us in the emergency management field, that's not a good enough response because it delays actions and issues and notifications.
Along those lines, do you have an annex there about with inter-island interoperability and communications?
There is nothing on inter-island, but we have started discussions. We work closely with RECWIG, which is the Regional Emergency Communications Working Group, and there are monthly meetings. And in those groups, we have territories, CNMI, American Samoa, Hawaii, et cetera. And we always discuss the One Marianas approach. So one of the jobs and the tasks that were updated in the camp is the ESF2 position. In that position, we have communications with all of our different providers, communication providers, from your Motorola's to your ITNs, your GTAs, your Docomos. And we work closely with ITNE and Docomo, most especially ITNE, because they are the LEC, the local exchange carrier in Saipan. So whenever we are ready, we're aware of any incident, potential incident, or heavy weather, I'm on the line with ITNE saying, okay, have you checked your systems? What is your backup? And just in case the cable between Guam and CNMI gets damaged, what is your backup? Is your microwave working? And that has been very beneficial to us. They provide reports into the EOC. So that is one of the areas we're updating under the ESF2 test template.
Okay, but it still hasn't answered my question. So you have not worked in your inter-island?
We are working on establishing those MOAs and making sure communications is done.
But it's not in full, you don't have that in place right now, do you?
Not written. I requested for written.
Isn't that a requirement for your fusion center?
In terms of?
Inter-island capability, communication and coordination.
They have their node in Saipan that they communicate with, yes.
But aren't the two fusion centers supposed to be fused?
In their words, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was part of one of the reasons why we got the Marianas Islands fused.
Right.
Right?
And they have their meetings with their node.
But have we had those meetings? Have we included that?
In the
Do you have an annex in there that speaks specifically to that communication and to that cooperation between, in this case, the CNMI and Guam?
No, not in that, not written in. There's communication, meaning we're talking about it, but I've yet to see an agreement. Okay. And I'd like to see the agreement.
Isn't that a requirement for the Fusion Center, and then is at the same time the requirement for your Homeland Security Grant Program?
No.
With regard to the Fusion Center, do you know the requirements that are placed in the Homeland Security Grant Program for the Fusion Center? Last time I checked, there were 30. 30 requirements.
Yeah, I downloaded the book.
Okay. I don't even want to ask if you start to go down the list of the 30 different requirements, where we're at with them.
Speaker, if I can answer your question, yes, sir, that is a requirement. Hence, Marianas Regional Fusion Center. They have their node in Saipan. The expectation is that we keep in touch with the CNMI.
And I'm setting that up because when we do get to the discussion on the Fusion Center, that's an area that, one of the areas that I see some, a huge gap in it,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes, sir.
I'll wait for them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Borja, you have any questions on the Guam Comprehensive Emergency Response Plan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have one question in regards to at least GMH. I know during Typhoon Mawar, there was some, they shared some horror stories in regards to just capacity because of the state of the hospital. What are, like when we talk about interagencies, what are some discussions, should a storm come, in regards to how you guys will support GMH in its current state? Should there be a need to move the hospital somewhere else because of flooding? I know it still leaks right now, or maybe it's gotten better, but just what discussions have you guys had in regards to some kind of plan, emergency plan?
Sir, no discussions have been made yet with GMH. Through tabletop exercises, which one is coming up very soon in light of the defense of Guam, GMH and Department of Public Health and Social Services play a key role in that, and those discussions will likely take place during that and before that TTX. It's a three-part TTX that will eventually lead up to filling gaps in developing our Defense of Guam plan, but definitely healthcare is a critical part of that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Borja. Senator Ad, nothing? Okay, I have just two questions for Esther, and they're very quick. I hope you can give me quick answers. First off, we have current mutual aid agreements between all of our, I guess, our friends in the region today. Do we currently have mutual aid agreements? They're current, everything's good, to include our military?
Sir, nothing has been changed since I took over as the acting administrator. I'd have to do a deep dive to see what kind of mutual agreements are in effect, and then I can get back with you to see what are active, what needs renewing, and what probably needs to be established.
Right, and then, I mean, for me, I'm also thinking about the EMAC. We're good on the EMAC side?
Yes, sir, we're good on EMAC side. We have Bob Fenton, committing to letting, if there's anything we need, it would take a phone call to get some help from him.
And then one last question, JP 101, our agreements joint-wise, are we good?
JP. Sir, say again?
Joint Partnership 101.
Joint Partnership 101. Are we good? Yeah, just a yes or no if you're aware.
No, I'd have to get back to you on that, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, the last item on our agenda today is the decertification of the Guam Fusion Center. And if I can, and I'm just going to direct these to Esther, and I appreciate if we can just keep it at that for now, because I know that she's responsible as the Homeland Security Advisor. Based on comments that the committee received suggesting that because of the OPA audits in 2024 and 2025's oversight hearing last year, revealed severe long-term non-compliance issues, that efforts must be initiated to promote transparency on grant expenditures and ensure accountability, especially with the Guam or the Guam Fusion Center. For the record, what information is publicly disclosable regarding the completion of an annual threat assessment and performance review, and does the Fusion Center's current budget help close any operational gaps which were identified as of your latest review of the Guam Fusion Center?
Sir, to my knowledge, no information that comes from the Fusion Center that's law enforcement sensitive is available to the public. It's available on an as-needed basis, obviously to the directors of the law enforcement agencies. I don't get a regular report of that report. I'm not provided a copy of it. I'm not included in the discussions, and I would like to. However, I have not been included in those conversations since taking on this job in '23.
So is it safe to say that based on some of the information you may know that you can publicly disclose, is Guam's Fusion Center, has it been decertified by the United States Department of Homeland Security?
Sir, I am not aware of that. If the Department of Homeland Security has decertified the Marianas Regional Fusion Center.
Are you aware of any communications to the governor of Guam that the Guam Fusion Center has been decertified by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security?
No, sir, I am not.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Speaker, you have any questions on the decertification of the Guam Fusion Center?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. What is the Fusion Center?
So the Fusion Center is designed to provide a platform for law enforcement agencies to review and decipher and gather intelligence to ensure that our homeland, our citizens are protected from any kind of law enforcement activity.
So it's more of a law enforcement function for the purposes of anti-terrorism?
Yes, sir. They also are responsible for that, to include cybersecurity.
Okay, okay. What's the command structure with Fusion Center?
I'm sorry, sir.
The command structure, who is in charge of the Fusion Center?
Sir, by law, the Fusion Center falls under the auspices of the Homeland Security Advisor.
Okay, so it falls under you, and then you got a number of different programs under you. Who then is your number one person in Fusion Center?
That would be the director.
Okay, and who is that right now?
That is Mr. Rudy Gaza.
Okay, and then under him.
Under him, sir, he has the different analysts from the different agencies. There's 8, and they come from the Guam Fire Department, the Guam Police Department, the Customs, Department of Agriculture, the Port Authority of Guam,
Okay.
DOC, and I believe we have now a person from the Superior Court.
Okay. What are the personnel requirements to be a member, part of that organization?
Well, sir, first and foremost, you have to have a security clearance in order for you to function out of that.
Does everybody in that command structure have a security clearance?
Sir, to my knowledge, no.
Nobody has a security clearance.
Not everyone has a security clearance.
So how do we function and operate without a security clearance?
It's a good question, Senator. Those individuals with security clearances obviously can only speak with those who have security clearances and have a need to know. I do know that there have been many attempts to request for security clearances. Mine, in fact, I have yet to receive any word from the Department of Homeland Security regarding my request for a security clearance. I do have one. I have a top secret security clearance. But the Department of Homeland Security, I've been told, is so backlogged with security clearance requests that they can't get to every single one. I do
How long
know
have you
that.
been in that position, Ms. Aggie?
Sir,
How long have you been in that position?
in my current position as the Homeland Security Advisor,
Yes,
since
yes.
June of 23.
And to this date, you don't have a.
That's correct.
And within that command structure of the Fusion Center, nobody has a security clearance?
Sir, from what I understand, I believe there are maybe 4 individuals who have security clearances. in the
Lucy,
Fusion
don't you
Center.
have a security clearance?
Yes, sir. My security clearance, I do have one, sir, is under.
But you're not
DHS.
in the Fusion Center command structure, are you?
Not in their initial command structure.
She is part of the critical infrastructure.
Yeah, I understand that. But with regards to intelligence, you don't have the clearance for, or,
Mine is limited, but I'm also BITAC certified, which is another thing. When we get analysts in, they do go through a 8 to 12 weeks course in terms of being trained up to be an analyst.
I don't, intend to bring out the dirty laundry and everything in this, but I, appreciate the conversation. Why have we not got individuals within the Fusion Center that can be able to operate in the secure environment?
Sir, the process is to run the clearance request through our DHS Intel analysts.
I'm very familiar with that.
And then from there, she is our advocate to the Department of Homeland Security to push and to process the request for security clearance.
Okay, so who is that person?
That would be Ms. Jessica Egley.
Okay. Does she have, does she have any role or function with the Fusion Center?
Sir, her role is strictly advisory. She has no supervisory authority over the Fusion Center.
I understand, but is there, if secure communicate, okay, when I was the Homeland Security Advisor, there was an abundance of security information, secure information that I had to decipher and deal with. Okay, I am just wondering, now that you've got the ability, I didn't have a Fusion Center back then. It was just me. Okay, and that was a daunting task. How does this function? How do we get that information to the governor?
Sir, it doesn't.
Oh boy. Now, my concern here is then it goes back to that inter-island cooperation. Okay, how do we then share sensitive information amongst each other if we don't have the capability and ability to do this? That's a question I need to, okay, you figure it out. I know it.
So we could probably discuss that on an unclassified
Yes.
level,
Please, okay.
Speaker.
Again, like I said, I don't want
yes.
to, I don't bring out the dirty laundry and stuff,
Right.
but I think this is very important for us
Yes.
to be able to, okay? I mean, we've got all these tools available to you today. All right? I mean, just the fact that you've got 10 different programs, one of them being your Fusion Center, and not the ability to be able to function all these things in all these areas. It's very concerning. All right? And I appreciate, please don't take it as it's not your fault. I mean, that this is all your fault. Okay? I recognize and I appreciate everything that you're trying to do here. It's just that you're the three individuals in front of us that need to answer these hard questions. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't think I need to go any further as far as, you know, the Fusion Center conversation. That's a lot of work that needs to get done because there is a very direct correlation between that Fusion Center, the operability of that Fusion Center, and us continuing to be able to be eligible for Homeland Security Grant Program. Okay? One without the other don't function. And as we had stated in our earlier conversations, you're looking, and you had stated you got 175% increase in your HSGP funding. How much of that are you going to be able to draw down, or can you draw down? It's one thing to say you got the award letter, but if you can't even access it, okay? It goes to all the needs that you're going to that you're asking for us to have to look at locally to be able to fund. Quite honestly, had we not gone through all the trials that we're continuing to go through right now, that wouldn't be necessary. Okay? My last question, be prepared, okay? Really, I'm going to ask you, but it's not concerning Fusion Center, but I'll ask you on the open discussion. Okay? Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Co-Chair Ada, you have any questions regarding the decertification of the Guam Fusion Center?
No, Mr. Chair, I believe the speaker had asked the questions that were necessary this time.
All right, thank you so much. I think for me, my only, I guess, concern is when you said that the governor of Guam does not receive any law enforcement sensitive information. And thank you for your candor.
And if I can clarify that, Senator,
Yes, please.
she does not receive, to my knowledge, she doesn't receive any law enforcement sensitive information from me. If she gets any kind of intelligence, we go to our FBI counterparts, we go to our military counterparts who have the capability and who have the proper clearances to deliver that information to her. And because I've got a top secret clearance, I am usually the one who will be present with her if she doesn't have anyone else. But that is how I get my intelligence.
Again, and it speaks to ensuring that our people are equipped to provide that direct support. They're the ones that are in the field, and they would, at the end state, would end up engaging our federal partners. But in order to be able to advise the governor of Guam, that news this morning has me a little bit distressed, just to be honest with you. And I'm hoping that our friends at DHS, I was going to ask you, if all the people, you said there's a couple of folks that are pending secret clearance, how long have they been waiting? I know you've been waiting for a couple of years. Have they been waiting weeks, months, years?
I would say they're not too far behind me, Senator.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair assessment, and I hope that our federal agencies that are listening can assist with this important matter. There are no other questions. Mr. Speaker, you had one other last thing you wanted to bring up. I'll allow you to do that this morning.
Thank you. It's actually, and Mr. Cabana, with regards to the hazard mitigation grant program, can you give us an update as to you still have open Marwar, and how many disasters do you still have open?
Excuse me. For hazard mitigations, Marwar was still reviewing those RFIs that's requested by FEMA. As you know, hazard mitigation on Marwar as compared to the PA, Marwar has not on hazard mitigation. We still need to get the assistance or send out a requisition to get an engineering firm to be able to assist us in getting those programs, putting the scope of work together. But we still are pending about 36 projects of Marwar.
So between, you have Marwar, COVID still open?
COVID, we have maybe one grant that's still open. So yeah.
Okay. When do the funds expire?
I'm sorry?
When do the funds expire for,
For COVID?
Yeah.
COVID right now for hazard mitigation on the one grant is going to expire next month, February. I think it's February or this month. Yeah. So I just found out last week that we're working with this one subrecipient trying to get this information, and why hasn't it gone out for a bit?
What about Marwar?
Marwar, nothing's been awarded yet.
How many projects do you have?
For Marwar, we still have, for Marwar, I think that it expires as far as information, I think in next year.
Yeah, but how many projects do you have in queue?
Tentative right now is about, I think, based on information I got, I think I got 30-some projects that are pending for review with our federal partners.
30-some only?
36, One that equates to about, I think, over a little bit over $50 million worth of projects.
Okay, but they're still in queue. There's nothing been.
They're still in the queue, sir. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so one with COVID.
With COVID, right?
30 with Marwar.
Yes.
Do you have any other open disasters?
Not. That's the only grant that.
Dolphin's done. U2's done.
Everything else, all the other disasters or legacies is complete.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, thank you to everyone for participating in this oversight hearing regarding the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense. And I do want to, again, thank you so much again, Esther, for you and your team for being with us this morning for this very important discussion. Today's discussion is critical to our work as policymakers, particularly as we are preparing, as you heard from our finance chair, for performance-based budgeting, and as this legislature considers proposals as some of the ones that you brought up today, aimed at modernizing and strengthening our emergency management system. Our citizens expect, and they deserve, an emergency management infrastructure that responsibly manages federal and local resources, complies with applicable laws and regulations, and demonstrates 24/7 readiness by maintaining a very safe and conducive EOC for its employees, partners from our local and our federal governments, the United States military, and of course our important private sector partners. With that said, the committee will review the information provided through this oversight hearing as we plan for the next steps policy-wise. There is certainly more work to do, and we need all of you to do your work for the benefit of all of the people of Guam. And I want to thank you all for being with us this morning. The Committee on Public Safety, Emergency Management, and the Guam National Guard appreciates the attendance and participation of all senators and officials from the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense in this oversight hearing. Today's oversight hearing is hereby adjourned, and the time is now 11:29 Chamorro Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for being with us this morning.